Chapter 439. In the room, Li Mu retracted the demonic aura that he deliberately emitted. He kept the snake demon pill that Phantom Princess gave him. He planned to give it to his two nieces in the future. As long as he converted more of his own Dharma power, he could create the illusion that he had broken through. Not long after, Wuxia walked into the courtyard and said regretfully, "Although you can't become Lord Illusion Princess personal guard right now, I believe that Lord Illusion Princess will agree soon." Li Mu was slightly disappointed. What Wuxia meant was that he was not qualified to become Phantom Princess's guard now. Phantom Princess had 20 guards who were her true confidants. If he wanted to get close to her and get the chance to comprehend the heavenly book, he had to become her confidant first. There was no faster way to get close to her than to become her guard. He was already qualified to become her guard as he was at the fourth realm. However, Phantom Princess obviously did not agree. If he wanted to get close to her, Li Mu had to work harder. Wuxia seemed to see Li Mu's disappointment. She reached out and gave him a bear hug. She said, "Don't be discouraged. You've only been in Maizong for half a month. Work hard. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Li Mu said, "Thank you, Brother Wuxia. I will." Although they were on different sides, after half a month of interaction, Li Mu, as a snake demon, had already built a deep friendship with the people around Phantom Princess. One had to admit that the atmosphere in Maizong was very good. It was even better than the imperial court. When Li Mu was in Fairy's capital, the people around him greeted him with smiles on the surface. However, they were scheming and backstabbing behind his back. They wanted to kill him. However, in Maizong, perhaps because everyone was good-looking, the atmosphere was very harmonious. They supported and helped each other. When facing enemies, they cooperated sincerely. They could even leave their backs to each other. Especially Wuxia. From the beginning, she took good care of Li Mu. She brought him quickly to familiarize himself with everything here. She was his guide in Maizong. They met by chance. Li Mu was surprised that Wuxia was so nice to him. After they hugged each other deeply, Wuxia comforted Li Mu with a few more words before she turned around and left. Li Mu was about to return to his room when he saw a small demon looking at him strangely from the door of another room. This demon was also a fox demon, but she was not from Maizong. Instead, she was a servant of Phantom Princess Manor. There were a total of 4 rooms in this small courtyard. Other than Li Mu, the other 3 demons were all servants of the manor. Li Mu glanced at the little demon and asked, "What are you looking at?" The little demon immediately shook his head and said, "No, nothing." The little demon wanted to return to his room immediately, but Li Mu said in a deep voice, "Come back." Little demon immediately stopped in his tracks. He was just a little demon in human form. His identity could not be compared to the experts of Maizong. Li Mu looked at him and asked, "What did you want to say?" The little demon no longer dared to feign ignorance. He lowered his head and whispered, "Everyone knows that Lord Nine doesn't like women." Li Mu was dumbfounded. What? At this moment, the mystery that had been in his heart for many days was solved. No wonder Wuxia repeatedly praised him for his good looks. No wonder Wuxia took care of him so much. He thought that Wuxia was just warm-hearted and helpful. Everyone knew that Wuxia didn't like women, but he didn't. After learning this news, he thought carefully. It seemed that Wuxia's words to him these days were full of hints. Li Mu stood there in a daze. He had never been so speechless in his life. After coming to his senses, he didn't dare to stay in the manor anymore. When he walked out of Phantom Princess Manor, he didn't expect to run into Wuxia. Wuxia asked, "Little snake, where are you going?" Li Mu had nowhere to hide. He said awkwardly, "I'm going to take a bath." Wuxia said regretfully, "It's a pity that we have to go out. Otherwise, I would go with you." Li Mu asked, "Is there another mission?" Wuxia said, "This mission is very dangerous. You don't have to go. When I come back, I'll take you to take a bath together." Li Mu originally wanted to participate in more missions and make more contributions so that he could become Phantom Princess's guard as soon as possible. But when he thought of Wuxia and that he had more important things to do, he gave up the idea and said, "We'll talk about it when we have the chance." He waved to Wuxia and strode away. The Fox clan was probably the demon clan that knew how to enjoy life the most. Their IQ was not inferior to that of humans, and they liked to live in human society. The construction of Thousand Fox City was not worse than that of any county in the Great Zhou, And the entertainment venues in the city were even better. At least, Li Mu had never seen such a magnificent bathhouse in Luoyang. Li Mu walked into the bathhouse. In the bathhouse, a beautiful fox demon saw Li Mu's clothes and the badge on his waist. She immediately put on a smile and said, "My lord, welcome to my shop." Li Mu put down a Fox Nation coin made of spiritual jade and said, "Prepare a single room for me." The beautiful fox demon said with a smile, "Do you want 2 girls to massage your shoulders and back?" Li Mu said indifferently, "There's no need for that. Just prepare a private bath." The service in the bathhouse was very good. Seeing that Li Mu didn't want to talk, the beautiful fox demon didn't say anything more. Soon, she asked someone to prepare a single room with a bath for him. The room was steaming hot. The hot water was poured on the hot stones, creating a thick mist that soon spread throughout the room. Although it had been half a month since he came here, Li Mu still didn't let down his guard. He didn't know if the masters of Meizong sect were still spying on him. Even if they were, they wouldn't peek at him taking a bath. Besides, it was steaming here. The mystic light technique could spy on him, but it couldn't remove the fog. Even if someone was spying on him, they wouldn't see anything. Li Mu took off his clothes and walked into the bath. On the highest peak of Thousand Fox City, the handsome man looked at a blurry figure on the screen with admiration. He said, "I didn't expect this demon to have other strong points other than being handsome. Nurture him well. He'll be useful in the future." Huan Ji hurriedly turned around and used her mana to disrupt the mystic light technique. She said with disdain, "When did you become like Hu Jiu?" The handsome man looked at her and said, "You're not young anymore. It's time to think about marriage." "I think Bai Xian is good." Huan Ji waved her hand and said impatiently, "Don't mention him to me. It's so annoying. He's not even as good as me. How can he be my husband?" The handsome man said helplessly, "You're a rare genius of our fox tribe. Isn't it difficult for people of the same age to reach your level?" Huan Ji snorted and said, "This isn't an excuse for them to be weak." At this moment, a figure appeared in her mind. Before meeting Li Mu, Huan Ji thought she was the strongest among people of the same age except for the one in the great Zhou divine capital. After meeting Li Mu, her self-confidence suffered a huge blow. These days, she worked even harder to cultivate so that one day, she could avenge the humiliation she had suffered. Thinking of Li Mu, Huan Ji's heart was filled with anger. She said, "I'll go back first." "All right, that statue. Get someone to carve another one for me and send it to my residence." Li Mu was lying comfortably in the bath alone, but he wasn't in the mood to enjoy it. The undercover life of the Meizong sect was much harder than he thought. It had been half a month and he still hadn't gained Huan Ji's trust. The only change was that Huan Ji didn't look at him directly. She would occasionally look at him directly. If this continued, he would have to stay here for 3 to 5 years to achieve his goal. This was something Li Mu couldn't accept. He had to think of another way. Li Mu didn't have much experience in winning a woman's trust. Usually the simplest way was, of course, seduction. However, there was no lack of handsome men and beautiful women in Thousand Fox Country. Even Hu Jiu was handsome. Someone like old Zhang would be discovered as soon as he sneaked into Thousand Fox Country. There was no chance for him to be an undercover in the Meizong sect. With such people around him, Huan Ji couldn't be seduced. Li Mu wouldn't sacrifice his body for the mission. If he wanted to quickly climb up the ranks, he had to rely on other methods. When the fog in the room rose to a limit, Li Mu quietly set up a soundproof array. He took out the spirit snail and whispered, "Your Majesty." Soon the Empress's voice came from the spirit snail. "Are you coming back?" Li Mu could hear the anticipation in her voice, but he could only say helplessly, "It might take a long time. I don't have much time, so I can only make it short. There are spies from the Meizong sect in the palace. It's very likely that they're palace maids near Chang'e Palace. Your Majesty can pay more attention, but it's best not to alert them." "I understand. Be careful when you're there alone." "Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty." "It's not convenient to talk here. I'll hang up first." In Chang'e Palace, there had been no sound from the spirit snail for a long time. Zhou Yi was still holding it and didn't put it down for a long time. Lady Ju, dressed in black, stood in the hall with a face full of shame. If only one of her spies was half as capable as Li Mu. Such an extremely dangerous task wouldn't be done by Her Majesty's favorite subject. Yao Country. Thousand Fox City. When Li Mu left the bathhouse and returned to his courtyard in Huanji Manor, he saw a figure standing in the courtyard. It seemed that she had been waiting for a long time. Li Mu quickly walked over and bowed. "Greetings, Lady Huanji." Huanji looked at him and thought of the scene in the mystic light technique. Her expression was slightly unnatural, but she quickly calmed down and asked, "Where did you go?" Li Mu said honestly, "I went to the bathhouse to take a bath." "Lady Huanji, do you have any orders?" Huanji said indifferently, "It's not a big deal. I'm still lacking a poison for refining pills. Squeeze some of your poison for me." Chapter 440. Seeing that Li Mu didn't respond for a long time, Phantom Princess asked, "What's wrong? You don't want to?" Li Mu hurriedly said, "Master Phantom Princess, you misunderstood me. I owe you a great favor. I can give you everything but," Phantom Princess asked, "But what?" Li Mu explained, "But not all snakes are poisonous. I happen to be the kind that is not poisonous. I can't squeeze out any venom." "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Phantom Princess glanced at him and left in disappointment. Li Mu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he reacted quickly. He was pretending. Even if Phantom Princess squeezed him dry, she couldn't squeeze out a drop of venom. The life of a spy was indeed full of danger. If he was careless, he would be exposed. In the past night, Li Mu didn't sleep well. He wasn't worried about being exposed, but he was thinking about how to tell Hu Jiu tactfully that he always liked women with big breasts and big butts. No matter how beautiful a man was, he wouldn't change his preference. It would be offensive and strange if he said it directly, but he was afraid that Hu Jiu wouldn't understand if he said it tactfully. Should he invite her to the brothel in the city? Some female monsters in the city didn't mind selling their bodies in order to get cultivation resources because they didn't have high cultivation talent. They were willing to do it, and it was legal in the Thousand Fox country. If he invited Hu Jiu to such a place, she should understand what he meant. No, he was still pretending to be an innocent Xiao by snake. His purpose was to get close to Phantom Princess. Doing this kind of thing might reduce his impression in Phantom Princess's mind. It was completely ignoring the essentials. After thinking for a whole night, Li Mu decided to remind her secretly. After Li Mu got out of bed, he had just finished washing up when the dull sound of a bell suddenly came from outside. It was the signal for the Meizong sect to gather everyone. Li Mu quickly walked out of the yard and came to the front yard. More than 10 figures had gathered in the yard. All of them looked gloomy. Li Mu didn't know what had happened. When he was about to ask Hu Jiu, he glanced around the crowd and didn't see Hu Jiu. The demons that followed Hu Jiu on the mission yesterday had already returned, but Hu Jiu was nowhere to be seen. Li Mu looked at a demon who went on a mission with Hu Jiu yesterday and asked, "Where is brother Hu Jiu?" The fox monster lowered her head and said sadly, "We fell into the heretical cultivations trap. Brother Hu Jiu stayed behind to cover our escape." Then, the fox demon did not continue, but someone else had already recounted the entire sequence of events. Meizong had obtained a lot of information about heretical cultivation by searching their souls after capturing the 5 heretical cultivation practitioners. With the intelligence, they had destroyed several nests of heretical cultivation and rescued dozens of their compatriots of the demon race in half a month. However, they were noticed by the heretical cultivation organizations, too. This time, the heretical cultivation organization had deliberately released false information to lure them into the trap and then set up an ambush early on. If the demons had not smelled the danger in advance, perhaps none of them would have made it back this time. Even so, Hu Jiu had sacrificed her life to create a chance for them to escape. Phantom Princess walked out from the backyard and said in a low voice, "Follow me." A fox monster stood out and said to Phantom Princess, "Lord Phantom Princess, this matter needs to be considered at length. The 5 heretical cultivation practitioners are all in the 5th realm. They are siblings from the same mother. When they work together, they can fight against 6th realm cultivators. If we go, we will only be courting death. Lord Phantom Princess, please reconsider. We can't let Master Hu Jiu's sacrifice be in vain. We will take revenge sooner or later, but not now." Hearing everyone's advice, Phantom Princess took a deep breath and turned into a stream of light, flying to the highest mountain in Thousand Fox country. Not long after, at the peak, the handsome man shook his head at Phantom Princess and said, "Father is in seclusion. I have to guard this place and can't leave. Moreover, you know the rules of the demon country. No matter what grudges the people below have, no matter how big the trouble is, cultivators in the 6th realm and above can't interfere. Once we break this rule, others can break it too. When that happens, this place will become chaotic again. More 5th realm and even 6th realm cultivators will die. Phantom Princess did not force it. She gritted her teeth and said, "Then I will go myself." The handsome man shook his head and said, "You can't go. You are not their match." Phantom Princess said, "I want to take revenge for Hu Jiao." With that, she flew into the air and left. However, just as she flew into the air, her body stopped in the air and she could not take another step forward. Phantom Princess said angrily, "Let me go." The handsome man shook his head and said, "I can't let you go. If anything happens to you, I won't be able to explain it to father." He waved his hand and Phantom Princess flew into the cave. The handsome man casually set up a formation and said, "Calm down inside first. When the time is right, I will let you take revenge for Hu Jiao." "Let me out. Huan Yun, you bastard, let me out. Let me out. I curse you that you will never be able to marry a wife." Phantom Princess cursed loudly in the cave. The handsome man just shook his head helplessly and flew away. The news of Lady Hu Jiao's death at the hands of the heretical cultivation quickly spread throughout Thousand Fox City. The demon citizens in the city were all filled with righteous indignation. Some of them were rescued by Hu Jiao from the heretical cultivation. However, the news that came later made them even angrier. The heretical cultivation actually hung Lady Hu Jiao's corpse on the mountain gate and let it be exposed to the sun by the feng shui. This was a naked insult. For a moment, the citizens of Thousand Fox Country were furious. They wanted nothing more than to flatten the heretical cultivation, but Meizong did not do anything. Those evil cultivators were too powerful. If the first elder didn't show up, even if they went, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. In the cave on the highest peak of Thousand Fox Country, Phantom Princess gritted her teeth. "I must kill them." At the entrance of the cave, a fox demon was telling her about the situation in Thousand Fox Country in the past 2 days. Then he remembered something and said, "There is one more thing that I don't dare to guess. I don't know if I should tell Lady Phantom Princess." Phantom Princess took a deep breath and said, "Speak." The fox demon said, "The snake demon we brought back last time has disappeared for 2 days. He should have left Thousand Fox City. He didn't tell anyone about this. Maybe he was afraid of death and ran away." Phantom Princess said coldly, "If he wants to leave, then leave. Meizong doesn't matter with him. The next time we meet, we will be enemies." The fox demon said indignantly, "This demon doesn't know how to repay kindness at all. If it wasn't for Lady Phantom Princess, he would still be a demon in human form. He might not be able to condense a demon core in this lifetime." Phantom Princess shook her head and said, "Don't mention him again. Think of a way to bring Hu Jiao's corpse back." There was a look of humiliation in the fox demon's eyes, but he still sighed and said, "This is obviously bait. They insulted Hu Jiao's body to lure us there. There must be a trap set up there and they are waiting for us to come to them." The experts of the clan were killed and their corpses were exposed. These days, Thousand Fox Country was extremely depressed. It had been a long time since the people from Meizong's sect showed a smile. Hu Jiao was killed, and there was a traitor in the sect. The snake demon had joined Meizong for less than a month and escaped from Thousand Fox Country. This was the shame of Meizong in recent years. "I knew it. That snake demon is extremely cowardly. Who forced him to join the sect?" "It's Hu Jiao." "Hu Jiao is silly. I know he took a fancy to the snake demon's beauty, but Meizong recruits not only based on beauty, but also character and temperament. A while ago, he was still pretending to be fearless. Now he has shown his true colors, right?" At the city gate of Thousand Fox City, the 2 experts of Meizong who guarded the city gate were still angry when they talked about the snake demon. At this moment, a figure slowly walked in from outside the city gate. It was a figure that was not tall. His clothes were tattered and his body was covered in blood. He limped from afar. "Who is it?" "This is Thousand Fox Country." "Stop." The 2 experts of Meizong flew forward, but in the next moment, their expressions changed. At the city gate, the person was carrying something on his back. He wrapped a vine around his waist and connected it tightly to the thing on his back. The 2 quickly saw the thing on his back. It was a corpse. When they saw the face of the corpse, the 2 exclaimed again. "It's Hu Jiao." Hu Jiu's corpse. The figure walked over step by step. When he reached the city gate, he slowly raised his head. Under the blood, a handsome and delicate face was revealed. He smiled at the two and said in a hoarse voice, "I brought back Brother Hu Jiu's corpse." After saying that, he fell down. The two hurried forward to support him, their faces full of shock. "It's him. He didn't escape. He actually brought back Hu Jiu's corpse. How did he do it?" The two hurried back to the city with a man and a corpse. Not long after, a piece of news from Meizong made the entire Thousand Fox country boil. Master Hu Jiu's corpse was brought back, and the person who brought it back was the little demon of Meizong who had defected for half a month. Soon, everyone understood that he did not defect. Everyone in Thousand Fox country wanted to bring back Hu Jiu's corpse, but no one took action because they knew that it was a trap that would kill whoever went. During these days, they could only condemn and condemn. However, there was a person, a demon who left Thousand Fox country alone without saying anything. Half a month later, when he returned again, he had already brought back Hu Jiu's corpse and the dignity of Meizong and Thousand Fox country. Although they did not know what happened in the past half a month, it was said that when the little demon carried Hu Jiu's corpse back to Thousand Fox City, there were nearly 100 wounds of various sizes on his body. He was like a lamp that had run out of oil, and his life was hanging by a thread. If Lady Phantom Princess had not saved him with precious spirit pills, he would probably be dead now. That little snake demon caused a lot of discussion in the city. I want to apologize to him. A few days ago, I scolded him for defecting. What a good man. He's a true hero, a hero worthy of everyone's admiration. That lord even took a bath in our bathhouse. He looks handsome and charming, but I didn't expect him to be so courageous. In Phantom Princess Manor, countless figures stood in the courtyard. Many of their faces were still filled with disbelief. Unbelievable. Even the Grand Elder might not be able to escape unscathed from that place. How did a fourth realm little demon do it? I've never seen such serious injuries. What did he go through? He's still alive. What's supporting him? Everyone could not understand how a weak little demon could do such a big thing that even a sixth realm powerhouse would not be able to do easily. What happened in between? In the room, Li Mu opened his eyes and looked at the figure standing in front of the bed. He struggled to get up and said, Greetings, Lady Phantom Princess." Phantom Princess pressed his shoulder and pressed him back on the bed. She said, "You're seriously injured and need to rest. There's no need to salute." Then she looked at Li Mu's face and asked, "How did you do it?" Li Mu's eyes were filled with sadness. He said, "Here, Brother Hu Jiu was the person who treated me the best. I couldn't watch his body be humiliated after he died. So I used the snake race's concealment technique and hid in front of the heretical cultivation for half a month before the 5 heretical cultivation powerhouses left." Phantom Princess shook her head and said, "Even so, you couldn't have gotten Hu Jiu's body," Li Mu said. "I knew that there must be an ambush around Big Brother Hu Jiu's body. If I fought head-on, I would be courting death, so I could only use my wits. Therefore, an hour after the 5 evil cultivators left, I changed into one of their appearances and tricked their subordinates into putting down Big Brother Hu Jiu's body. Unfortunately, I was still discovered in the end. It wasn't easy for me to kill my way out. Fortunately, after the 5 evil cultivators left, there were no more 5th realm cultivators. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see Lord Phantom Princess." Phantom Princess blurted out, "That's impossible. The transformation technique requires at least a 6th realm cultivation. Even I don't know it. You can't have the fulu and pills to disguise yourself." Li Mu looked at her and said gratefully, "I have to thank Lady Phantom Princess. It was you who helped me reach the 4th realm. At the same time, I awakened a talent. Snakes don't have the ability to transform unless..." Phantom Princess looked at Li Mu with confusion. She quickly thought of something and said, "You have the bloodline of the lizard race?" Li Mu nodded and said, "My grandmother is from the lizard race." The lizard race was known as the 4-legged snake. The snake race and the lizard race often intermarried. Phantom Princess was no longer confused and said, "You shouldn't have acted on your own." Li Mu shook his head and said, "Even you were imprisoned. If I said that I was going to bring back Brother Hu Jiu's body, I definitely wouldn't have been allowed." Phantom Princess asked, "Are you willing to give up your life for Brother Hu Jiu's body?" Li Mu smiled and said, "My father told me that there are things that I shouldn't do in my life. I can't let Brother Hu Jiu be humiliated because I'm afraid of death. Otherwise, even if I'm alive, I'll feel guilty. I didn't expect Little Snake to be so loyal. A shadow floated in from the outside and looked at Li Mu emotionally. She said, I didn't love you for nothing. You're willing to die for my body. Are you also tempted by me? Li Mu looked at the spirit that looked exactly like Hu Jiu and his expression became sluggish. Phantom Princess explained, even though Hu Jiu lost her body, her demon soul still managed to escape in the end. Hu Jiu sighed and said with pity, It's a pity that I didn't listen to Lord Phantom Princess's words. If I also cultivated a Tao technique and formed a primordial spirit, I could find a new body and be reborn. I wouldn't have turned into a ghost like this. She looked at Li Mu and asked, Little Snake, you won't stop loving me because I've become a ghost, right? Li Mu laid on the bed and struggled to raise his hand. He gave Hu Jiu the middle finger and said, Love your mother. After that, he fainted again. Hu Jiu was about to go forward when Phantom Princess waved her hand and said, He almost died. Let him rest. He'll be of great use to me in the future. You can't have any ideas about him. Hu Jiu's face was filled with resentment. She sighed and said, I understand. After the human and ghost left, the door closed automatically. On the bed, Li Mu opened his eyes again. He exhaled softly and a smile appeared on his face. After spending a lot of time together, even if it was a dog, he would have some feelings for it. Putting aside the standpoint of race, these demons were actually more worthy of deep friendship than humans. He was very happy that Hu Jiu's demon soul was still there. This time, he took back Hu Jiu's body. Although it was also to gain Phantom Princess's trust, it was more because of their friendship. This kind of ending could be said to be a happy ending. What he said to Phantom Princess was all true. Although Li Mu had the strength to break into the heretical cultivation sect and take Hu Jiu's body, after that, he couldn't explain the process to Phantom Princess and the people of Meizong sect. Therefore, he could only use a trick. He really hid near the heretical cultivation organization's nest for half a month, patiently waiting for the leader of the heretical cultivation to leave. He also really changed into the appearance of one of them to deceive their subordinates. But the flaw was deliberately exposed by Li Mu. If he easily carried Hu Jiu's body back, it would be too fake. It would be strange if Phantom Princess didn't suspect him. On the other hand, if he managed to snatch back the corpses of his compatriots, those who doubted him would feel ashamed. Li Mu didn't believe that Phantom Princess wouldn't let him be her personal guard after he risked his life so much. If he couldn't be promoted this time, Li Mu really couldn't do this job. The elixir that Phantom Princess gave him must be of heaven grade. He quietly rested in the room for 3 days. His injuries were almost healed. Not even a scar could be seen on his body. During these 3 days, he had cute little fox demons serving him. These little fox demons that had just transformed looked at him with stars in their eyes. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, a little fox demon walked in and looked at Li Mu with admiration. She said softly, Sir, Lord Phantom Princess invites you over. Li Mu got out of bed for the first time in 3 days and came to Phantom Princess's courtyard. In the courtyard, Phantom Princess sized up Li Mu and asked, How's your recovery? Li Mu cupped his fists and said, It's almost done. Thank you for the elixir. Phantom Princess nodded and said, Although you carried Hu Jiu's body back and made a great contribution, there are still many people in the sect who don't believe you can do it. So, I need you to show me your abilities. As long as you can prove that what you said is true, I won't let anyone who dares to criticize you go easily. Li Mu had already expected this and was not afraid. He used his sleeve to cover his face. After a moment, when he moved his sleeve away, he had already turned into Hu Jiu. Phantom Princess revealed a strange expression and said, In a certain demon race, there is only 1 in 10,000 people who can awaken this level of innate ability. You are the first one I have seen. Actually, the innate abilities of the various demon races were not that hard to awaken. It was just that they did not know the method. If they knew the method, humans could also use demon techniques, but it was not as easy as the demon race. Li Mu changed back and looked at Phantom Princess and asked, Lord Phantom Princess, is it done? Phantom Princess nodded and said, You can go back. Li Mu let out a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to leave, Phantom Princess suddenly thought of something and said, Wait! Li Mu turned his head and asked, Lord Phantom Princess, is there anything else? Phantom Princess thought for a moment and pointed at the statue that was filled with sword marks beside the fake mountain and said, Change into him for me to see. Li Mu looked at the statue and swallowed his saliva. He said softly, "Lord Phantom Princess, I have never seen him before. I'm afraid I can't change." Phantom Princess crossed her arms and said, "No problem, you can change." Li Mu probed, "Then I will try?" Phantom Princess nodded and said, "Let's begin." Li Mu covered his face with his sleeve again. After a moment, he slowly moved his sleeve away. Phantom Princess walked over step by step and examined him for a long time. Finally, she stretched out her hand and patted his face. She pulled it and revealed a meaningful smile and said, "Good, very good." Li Mu's face was pale and filled with fear. He said with a trembling voice, Lord Phantom Princess, don't be like this." Phantom Princess looked at this familiar face and a certain image appeared in her mind. She couldn't help but curl up her lips and reveal a smile that could charm all living things. She said, "From now on, you can follow me." This means that Li Mu is already her personal guard and also her personal guard. Li Mu has taken a big step towards his final goal. He revealed a happy expression and said, "Thank you, Lord Phantom Princess." Phantom Princess thought for a moment and said, "I'll change your name. I'll call you that from now on." Li Mu bowed and said, "This subordinate will follow Lord Phantom Princess's arrangement." Phantom Princess pinched his face again and said, "Remember, from now on, you will be called Li Mu." Chapter 441. Li Mu would have thought that he had been discovered if Phantom Princess did not summon the elites of Meizong sect. Li Mu asked anxiously, "Lord Phantom Princess, can I leave now?" Phantom Princess looked at him and said, "You don't have to go back. From now on, you will stay in the courtyard next to mine. I will summon you if I need anything." Li Mu was delighted. He did not know if he was closer to her psychologically, but at least he was closer physically. He was one big step closer to his final goal. He left Phantom Princess's place and went back to his room to pack his things. He met a few people from Meizong sect along the way. They all stopped and clenched their right fist and hit their left shoulder. This was a gesture of respect from Meizong sect. Li Mu had won their respect after hiding near the heretical cultivation organization for half a month and taking back the body of his fellow sect member. At this moment, there was a storm in a heretical cultivation organization. Trash. You can't even protect a body with dozens of people? Someone swaggered in, took away the demonic corpse, and killed more than 10 people. What were you doing at that time? You trash, how dare you face me? An elder looked down furiously. Dozens of people knelt on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads. Master, it's not that we're incompetent, it's just that the thief is too cunning. As soon as you left, he pretended to be you and tricked the corpse away. Although we realized that something was wrong later, that thief is extremely good at hiding. We couldn't find him at all when he snuck into the forest. We split up to search, but he defeated us one by one and killed a few of us. Moreover, this person is not afraid of death, as if he doesn't care about his own life, exchanging injury for injury, exchanging life for life. He's very difficult to deal with. Cut the crap. An old man waved his hand and said, "This is a great humiliation, truly a great humiliation. Pass down my order, anyone who can take that bastard's life will be rewarded with 1,000 spirit jades. Anyone who can capture him alive and bring him to me will be rewarded with 2,000 spirit jades." In Thousand Fox City, the spies of Meizong sect quickly found out about the heretical cultivation organization's kill order. 1,000 spiritual jades was a great temptation for cultivators below Realm 6, regardless of whether they were humans or demons. But at the same time, for the first time, they learned the details of this matter from the heretical cultivation. He had hidden for half a month just to wait for an opportunity. First, he cheated the trust of the heretical cultivation. After being discovered, he was besieged by the heretical cultivation. In the process of escaping, he even killed more than 10 heretical cultivation practitioners of the same level. What kind of fierce man was he? Just thinking about the process would send chills down the spines of those who were timid. In Li Mu's new residence, Hu Jiao floated in the air. She looked at Li Mu emotionally and said, "Little snake, I used to think you were timid and afraid of death. I want to apologize to you. You're a real tough guy, different from those pretty Xiaobai guys." Li Mu waved his hand and said, "I'm back now. In fact, I'm also afraid of death. So when I do things I plan carefully. We snakes are cold-blooded and are born to be stealthy. The forest is my territory. If they dare to come in, they'll die," Hu Jiao sighed and asked, So it's really not because of love. Li Mu also said seriously, I still like beautiful women. It won't change in my life. Hu Jiu said, who do you like? Tell me and I'll give up completely. Li Mu shook his head and said, I can't tell you. Hu Jiu thought for a moment and suddenly said, is it Miss Phantom Princess? Li Mu didn't deny it and said, Big brother Hu Jiu, please help me keep it a secret. Hu Jiu sighed and said, I knew it. Meizong sect, Thousand Fox City, no, the entire demon nation, as long as they're capable, they don't like Miss Phantom Princess. But your love is destined to be fruitless. Unless you can capture Li Mu alive and bring him to Miss Phantom Princess and become the personal disciple of the Heavenly Monarch, then you'll have a chance. Li Mu clenched his fist and said, I'll work hard. Hu Jiu left in disappointment. Li Mu closed the door and lay on the bed. Any female, no matter if she was a woman or a female demon, would find it hard to hate someone who liked her, even if she didn't like them. Not to mention someone like him who was handsome and loyal. In order to complete the mission earlier, Li Mu had to use all means to win Miss Phantom's favor. After lying down for a while, Miss Phantom's voice came from outside. Li Mu, come here. Li Mu didn't move immediately. Instead, he waited for Miss Phantom to call him 3 times before he walked out of the room. He flew over the wall and landed in another courtyard. Miss Phantom frowned and asked, what are you doing in the room? I've called you 3 times. Li Mu said apologetically, I'm sorry, Miss Phantom. I haven't gotten used to this new name and didn't react immediately. Miss Phantom said, get used to it slowly. She threw a token to Li Mu and said, from now on, you're my personal guard. Wherever I go, you follow. Li Mu stood with his chest out and said, yes. Miss Phantom said again, also before you see me, you have to turn into that statue. Li Mu touched his head and asked in confusion, why? Miss Phantom said indifferently, there's no why. You just have to listen. Li Mu didn't say anything else. He used his sleeves to wipe his face and quickly turned into another face. Miss Phantom sized him up and waved her hand in the air. Li Mu's projection appeared in front of him. Miss Phantom said, there's still a bit of difference. Take a closer look. It's best if you can make me look exactly the same. Li Mu revealed a troubled expression and said, I will try my best. 2 hours later. After numerous tests, Li Mu finally turned into something that Miss Phantom was satisfied with. Miss Phantom asked someone to bring him a set of clothes and said, change. Li Mu went back to change into a new set of clothes. His original sword was broken in the battle with the heretical cultivation. Miss Phantom also gave him a new one. The quality was better than the original. It was at least Earth grade. When he stood in front of Miss Phantom again, she was stunned for a moment before she raised her hand and slashed at him. Li Mu covered his head with his hands and said in panic, Miss Phantom, don't! The short sword in Miss Phantom's hand stopped when it was just a hair's breadth away from his neck. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She smiled and said, although your cultivation has increased, it's because of external items. Your strength and cultivation aren't compatible. From today onwards, I will guide your cultivation every day. Now, you can use the sword in your hand to attack me. At this moment, the way Miss Phantom looked at him made Li Mu think of the Empress. Before she sparred with Li Mu, that was how she looked at him. Li Mu finally knew why Miss Phantom made him like this. She was using the excuse of guiding his cultivation to vent her anger. Although in her heart, Li Mu wasn't the Li Mu she hated, they looked the same so she felt good beating him up. This meant that he became her scapegoat. At this moment, Li Mu wanted to retaliate angrily, but in the next moment, he thought of Han Xian, Go Jian, and Ultraman. A great man knows when to yield and when not to. If you can't bear small things, you can't get a fox without entering the fox's lair. For the heavenly book, for the secrets of Meizong, he endured. Li Mu took a deep breath and looked at Miss Phantom seriously. He said, Miss Phantom, I'm sorry. He stabbed with his sword and shouted, take this. The 2 swords in Miss Phantom's hands were replaced with 2 whips. She whipped Li Mu and said, too slow. Still too slow. There are too many flaws. That's it. How did you kill your way out of those people? Li Mu gritted his teeth and persevered. The Phantom Princess did not suppress her dermic powers at all. It was obvious that she was bullying him. However, Li Mu could only bear with it. He would remember this in his heart. Once he obtained the heavenly book and found out about the Meizong sect's spy in the fairy's capital, he would return the whip he received today many times over. Outside the door, Hu Jiao looked at the scene in the courtyard from afar. She shook her head and said, "Is this love?" The fox demon beside her whispered, "How can you bully a demon like this? Miss Phantom is too much." 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these few days, Li Mu accepted Miss Phantom's actions and didn't complain at all. Although his body was humiliated, Miss Phantom would reward him with some recovery pills and various magic treasures after each session. The people of Meizong pitied him at the beginning, but later on, they were only envious. A few days later, Miss Phantom seemed to be embarrassed. Looking at the silent Li Mu, she waved her hand and said, "Forget it, I won't practice today." She sat on the stone bench and said, "Come and massage my shoulders." In a bathhouse in Thousand Fox City, mist lingered. In the soundproof array, Li Mu was reporting to the Empress. In the distant Changle Palace in Fairy's capital, Zhou Yi, who was leaning on the dragon throne, sat up straight and said angrily, "What? She bullied you and even asked you to massage her shoulders. I didn't even let you massage me." Pah! She suddenly stood up and slammed the table in front of her. The heavy wooden table was shattered into pieces. Zhou Yi's chest heaved up and down. She gritted her teeth and said, "Damn that fox, I'm so angry." Chapter 442. Thousand Fox City. Hu Jiao, who had lost her physical body and switched to the path of ghost, was chatting with several companions. "Have you guys noticed that Lady Illusion Princess seems to be a little different recently? You noticed it too? I thought it was just my imagination." "It's not your imagination. Lord Phantom Princess likes to smile more recently, and her complexion is much better than before. She looks like those young ladies who have been nourished." "Shut up. Is Lord Phantom Princess someone you can talk about?" Hearing Hu Jiao's angry rebuke, everyone obediently shut their mouths. They looked at a certain limping figure walking out of Lord Phantom Princess's residence with envy on their faces. Lord Phantom Princess has never treated anyone like this before. She would give Little Snake a lot of rewards every time. His wealth is now richer than ours. Yesterday, she even gave Little Snake a heavenly flask treasure. Even we don't have this kind of treasure. If we really fight, we might not be his match. Little Snake exchanged his body for this. Look at how badly he is trampled by Lord Phantom Princess every time. This is nothing. If he is willing, I can exchange it with him. That depends on Lord Phantom Princess. Li Mu had already become Phantom Princess's personal guard. She would reward him with some good things every day, but he still could not come into contact with the heavenly book. Over the past few days, he had never missed a single mission. All the humiliation he had suffered at the hands of Phantom Princess had been avenged by the evil cultivators. With the treasures that Phantom Princess gave him, Li Mu could unleash even more power. When they encountered danger, he would always rush to the front. When everyone retreated, he would also take the initiative to stay behind and cut off their escape route. When he fought, he would lose 800 of his own men and 1,000 of his enemies. His actions of exchanging injuries for lives gradually won him the respect of everyone. Recently, everyone had changed the way they addressed him from Little Snake to Lord Li. Not only did Phantom Princess change his name, but she also let everyone in Meizong's sect call him that. From the beginning to the end, Li Mu did not wait for these people to call him Daniel Wu. Li Mu was extremely disdainful of Phantom Princess's self-comforting behavior. Instead of going to Fairy's capital to seek revenge, she chose to lie to herself and others. What kind of hero was she? If she had the ability, she would have a fair fight in the future. Li Mu would let her have a good taste of what he was feeling now. Outside, the bell rang again. When Li Mu arrived at the front courtyard, he discovered that many experts had gathered here. Taking a closer look, weren't they the experts from Meizong sect and Mirage sect that Huan Ji had brought to White Emperor's cave mansion the last time? Among the 10 demonic Dao sects, the Mirage sect and the Meizong sect were both controlled by the 10,000 Illusion Lord. This lineup already included half of the experts of the two sections. After seeing these people, Li Mu understood Phantom Princess's goal. The Heavenly Fox clan was a clan that repaid kindness and revenge. It was not the Heavenly Fox's style to not take revenge after suffering such a huge loss last time. She would always remember this matter in her heart, and even her cultivation would be affected. She had gathered these experts for the sake of revenge. Among the 12 people, other than Li Mu, the others were all Fifth Realm. However, These Fifth Realm experts did not look down on Li Mu at all. In the past few days, Li Mu had used practical actions to prove that he could do what Fifth Realm experts could do. He could even do better. He could also do things that Fifth Realm experts could not do. Although his cultivation was not very high, his fearless spirit was impressive. Suspended in the void, Phantom Princess said coldly, "Let's go." Dozens of figures broke through the void and flew out of the Thousand Fox country. Several hours later. Whoosh! Li Mu cut down a heretical cultivation expert with a sword. He looked at the distant sky. There were waves of intense dermic power fluctuations. Their opponents this time were very strong. They were the 5 leaders of a heretical cultivation organization. The 5 of them were twins. After cultivating, their minds were connected and they cooperated very well. When the 5 of them worked together, they could fight against 6th Realm experts with 5th Realm cultivation. Their strength was also at the top of the heretical cultivation organization. This was also the reason why Phantom Princess did not take revenge last time. Within the Yao Nation, 6th Realm experts could not easily attack. Even someone as strong as Meizong sect could not do anything to this heretical cultivation organization. Phantom Princess took a long time to gather these experts again. She wanted to avenge her past humiliation and take revenge. It was not without reason that the 5 brothers could occupy a place in the Yao Nation. When the 5 brothers worked together, they cooperated very well. Phantom Princess had gathered 10 Meizong sect experts, but they were only evenly matched. With Li Mu's current cultivation, he naturally could not participate in a battle of this level. Otherwise, Phantom Princess and the others would definitely be suspicious. In this heretical cultivation base, other than the 5 leaders, the underlings could not participate in a battle of this level. They all surrounded Li Mu. Now, even if Li Mu was at the 4th realm and had the Dharma treasure given to him by Phantom Princess, he was not afraid of 5th realm cultivators. Killing these evil cultivators was like chopping vegetables. It's him. He's the one who snatched the corpse last time. Retreat! Although the appearance was different, the feeling that the person gave them was definitely not wrong. The heretical cultivation group quickly recognized that the person in front of them was the terrifying existence who barged into their base alone not long ago, snatched the fox demon's corpse, and killed more than 10 of their brothers along the way. After realizing this, the heretical cultivation group that was abnormally fierce immediately retreated in fear. Li Mu was about to give chase when he suddenly stopped in his tracks. He raised his eyebrows and a surprised expression appeared on his face. Then, a powerful aura exploded from the ground. Judging from this aura, it was actually another 5th realm expert, and his strength should be at the peak of 5th realm. His cultivation was much higher than Phantom Princess's. Then the ground cracked open somewhere, and a figure broke through the air. When he saw that figure, Li Mu was stunned. This person's appearance was exactly the same as the 5 leaders of this heretical cultivation organization. In the sky, the experts of the 2 sects were stunned and immediately revealed shocked expressions. Why is there another one? Oh no, they're 6 brothers. Damn it, it's a trap. That elder did not help the other 5. Instead, he looked at Li Mu with a sinister gaze and gritted his teeth. So it's you. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure had already disappeared from the spot. Li Mu did not hesitate to slap a Fulu note on himself and escape into the distance. Where he originally stood, the elder's skinny hand reached out. If Li Mu was still there, his hand would have pierced through his heart. You can't escape. The elder's attack did not succeed. He coldly snorted and chased after Li Mu. In the sky, Phantom Princess's expression changed. Just as she was about to chase after him, an elder blocked her and sneered. Little beauty, it's already like this, and you're still thinking about others. Take care of yourself first, Phantom Princess coldly said. Scram! The elder did not reply, but his attacks became even fiercer. Phantom Princess coldly looked at him and crushed a jade talisman in her hand. Suddenly, a shadow appeared behind her. It was a huge scarlet fox. The scarlet fox shadow was 1,000 feet long and had 7 tails behind it. After the scarlet fox shadow appeared, it entered Phantom Princess's body. The 5 elders looked at Phantom Princess, who was emitting a terrifying aura, with fear in their eyes. They suddenly had a feeling that a great disaster was about to befall them. At the same time in the forest, a figure was quickly escaping. Behind him, a stream of light was chasing closely. The distance between the two was constantly closing. Let me see how long your Fulu can last. You dare to kill my disciple. In a moment, I will extract your soul and refine your body into a corpse. I won't kill your soul. I will let you suffer the pain of your soul being burned by the nether fire every day. The power of the Fulu was limited. The Fulu on Li Mu's body was constantly fading. His speed also gradually slowed down. The elder used his Fa Li and suddenly sped up. His skinny hand viciously grabbed at Li Mu's neck. However, in the next moment, he suddenly felt extreme fear from the bottom of his heart. His body instantly retreated as he looked at Li Mu with uncertainty. Li Mu's body had already stopped. He floated in the air. He turned his head and looked at the elder. His expression was strange as he said, "There's something?" The elder looked at Li Mu with fear. Just a moment ago, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. This was related to the cultivation technique he cultivated. His cultivation technique allowed him to sense danger the moment before it arrived. He felt this feeling from many experts. A moment ago, he had actually sensed the same danger from this low-level demon. However, no matter how he looked at it, this person was just a fourth-level demon. He was shocked and asked in a low voice, "What exactly are you?" Li Mu looked left and right. After confirming that they had flown far away and that there was no one around, he said calmly, "That's enough." In the air, a huge bell suddenly appeared. Under the elder's terrified gaze, it covered his head. Chapter 443. Li Mu, where are you? A figure broke through the air. Phantom Princess's voice resounded through the forest with the help of her magic power. After using the top-level magic of the Fox clan to take care of the 5 heretical cultivation, she immediately chased after Li Mu and the old man. She knew clearly that although Li Mu had many magic treasures, he was definitely not the old man's match. Along the way, there were no traces of the two, nor were there any signs of fighting. Hu Jiao flew behind her and asked worriedly, "Will Little Snake be okay?" Phantom Princess's expression was ugly. They didn't know beforehand that the 5 leaders of the heretical cultivation organization were all wild boar demons. And they were not 5 brothers, but 6. She took a deep breath and ordered everyone, "Split up and search." Everyone split up and searched in the same direction. When Phantom Princess flew above a forest, a weak voice came from below. "Lord Phantom Princess, I'm here." In the forest, under the thick layer of leaves, a small hill suddenly appeared. Li Mu carefully climbed out of it. Phantom Princess saw that he was fine and let out a sigh of relief. She asked, "Where's the person chasing you?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "I know I'm not his match, so I hid. He flew over my head, but I don't know where he is now." Phantom Princess said, "It's good that you're fine." Li Mu smiled and said, "Our snake clan is good at hiding. With the aura concealing talisman that Lord Phantom Princess gave me, that old man couldn't find me at all." After finding Li Mu, Phantom Princess gathered everyone again and went to the headquarters of the Heretical Cultivation Organization. Of the 6 leaders of the Heretical Cultivation Organization, 5 died in Phantom Princess's hands. The last one chased after Li Mu but failed and disappeared. His 5 brothers were already dead, and he was the only one left. He probably didn't have the guts to come back. As for their subordinates, they were also dealt with by the experts of the 2 sections. These people from the heretical cultivation had done all kinds of evil deeds and had a blood feud with the demon clan. Basically, they would not rest until one of them was dead. In Meizong, there were many members who had been captured by heretical cultivation. After being rescued, they naturally joined Meizong. From the base of the heretical cultivation, they found dozens of imprisoned demons. There were both males and females, and without exception, the males were handsome and the females were beautiful. In addition, there were more than 10 human women here. In the dungeon, the human women were huddled together, trembling as they looked at the demons outside. Hu Jiao looked at Huan Ji and asked, "Lord Huan Ji, should we follow the old rules and bring them to Jiujiang County, inform their officials and let them deal with it themselves?" Phantom Princess nodded and said, "You and Li Mu can go." A fox demon who was rescued said indignantly, "Why should we care about these humans? Let them stay here and perish on their own." Huan Ji glanced at him and said, "You should hate those people from the heretical cultivation. They are the same as you." The fox demon's throat moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. Huan Ji lent Hu Jiao a flask magic treasure. After putting the human women into the magic treasure, Hu Jiao and Li Mu flew to Jiujiang County. Li Mu was silent along the way. Hu Jiao asked, "Do you think Lord Huanji is too kind to the humans?" Li Mu nodded and said, "Yes." Hu Jiao looked at him and said, "These humans didn't do anything wrong. They are also victims. Those humans said that the demon clan is cruel and bloodthirsty. If we do that, wouldn't it be the same as what they said?" Li Mu thought about it and asked, "Since we don't hate humans, why do we have so many spies in the Great Zhou and go against the imperial court?" Hu Jiao snorted and said, "What bullshit imperial court? What did we demon clan do wrong to be treated like this by humans? The imperial court allowed humans to kill us wantonly and take our souls. When we wanted revenge, the imperial court sent out masters to kill us. If we want fairness, we have to overthrow them and establish our own imperial court." Li Mu was speechless after hearing Hu Jiao's words. If he was really a snake demon and suffered such unfair treatment, he would also want to overthrow the Great Zhou court. But he wasn't. Li Mu sighed deeply. After a long time he said, "I don't know how many spies the Meizong sect has in the imperial court. When can we overthrow them and establish our own imperial court?" Hu Jiao sighed and said, "When Cui Ming was alive, we could even directly influence some of the decisions of the Great Zhou court. We also took the opportunity to plant many spies in the internal guards of the Great Zhou Empress. Unfortunately, after Cui Ming's death, the internal guards were also purged. Our influence on the Great Zhou court is much smaller." Speaking of this, she looked at Li Mu again and said, "This is all because of Li Mu, the empress of the Great Zhou Empress. He destroyed at least 10 years of the Meizong sect's plan, so the Lord of Heaven gave him such a generous reward. Lord Huanji also suffered a few losses in his hands, so she changed your name and let you become him. She usually beats you to vent her anger. You have to behave well and make her happy." Li Mu said helplessly, "I know," he snorted and said, "It's all that damn Li Mu's fault. If it weren't for him, we could still directly influence the Great Zhou court. Now in their imperial court, we shouldn't have such a high-ranking spy, right?" Hu Jiao smiled proudly and said, "Who said we don't?" Li Mu asked curiously, "Who is it?" Hu Jiao shook her head and said, "I can't say this. This is the rule of the Meizong sect." Li Mu said unhappily, "Brother Hu Jiao, don't you trust me?" Hu Jiao said, "Of course I trust you, but this is a secret of our sect. Even the people of the Meizong sect can't reveal it to each other." Li Mu said disappointedly, "Then I won't ask. I know that I'm too inexperienced and you don't trust me. These secrets are not something I can inquire about," Hu Jiao hurriedly said. "Don't think like that. Everyone, including Master Huanji, trusts you very much. Otherwise, why would Master Huanji let you be her personal guard and take you with her every mission?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "Brother Hu Jiao, you don't have to say any more. I will adjust my position in the future. I won't say anything that I shouldn't say, and I won't ask anything that I shouldn't ask." Hu Jiao was a little anxious and said, Okay, I'll tell you one. Princess Yunyang of the Shao royal family, Cui Ming's former wife, is one of us now. I really can't say anything else." The two entered Jiujiang County City and left the human women in an alley. Then Hu Jiao sent a message to the Jiujiang County government. The two hid in the dark and saw a group of constables rushing out of the county government. When they found the place where the women were, they left Jiujiang County City. On the way back to Qianhu City, Li Mu still didn't say a word. At this moment, he was conflicted. Hu Jiao and the people of the Meizong sect really treated him as one of their own. Especially Hu Jiao. She took care of Li Mu as much as Li Qing did at that time. But Li Mu was using their trust to secretly plot against them and get information from them. This made Li Mu feel complicated and he couldn't calm down for a long time. If he was already like this, how would those who had been undercover for so many years, even getting married and having children in other places in order to gain trust, feel? What kind of feelings would they have? Hu Jiao noticed Li Mu's silence and asked, "Are you still angry with me?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "No, I just feel that I'm not a human." Hu Jiao smiled and said, "What are you talking about? You're not a human." After completing the mission perfectly and returning to Qianhu City, Li Mu soon heard Huanji's summons. He came to Huanji's courtyard and asked, "Lord Huanji, what can I do for you?" Two long whips appeared in Huanji's hands and she said, "Let me see if you've made any progress these days." Li Mu didn't say a word and drew his sword at Huanji as usual. Since there were some things that couldn't be resisted, she should learn to enjoy it. At least when Li Mu betrayed her in the future, he would feel less guilty in his heart. Huan Ji waved the whips in her hands and gradually slowed down. When she had ravaged him in the past, there had been humiliation and unwillingness on his face. Seeing this hateful face revealing humiliation and unwillingness in front of her, her heart was incomparably carefree. Even the knot in her heart had been untied recently. But when the humiliation and unwillingness disappeared, she felt that it was boring to ravage him again. Not long after, she put away the whips and said, "I don't want to play anymore. It's boring." She sat on the stone bench and ordered Li Mu, "Come and massage my shoulders." Li Mu silently walked behind her and placed his hands on her shoulders, gently squeezing them. Speaking honestly, other than the fact that Huan Ji liked to order him around and trample on him, she treated him very well. She treated him better than everyone else combined. If she ordered him around, then so be it. The more she ordered him around, the less guilty Li Mu would feel. When he betrayed her in the future, it would be easier for him to get over it. He just thought of it as admiring the scenery. Standing in this position, as long as he lowered his head, the scenery was infinitely beautiful. Li Mu comforted himself as he enjoyed the scenery. At a certain moment, Hu Jiu floated in from outside and said, "Lord Huan Ji, we caught a spy from the great Zhou court in Qianhu country." Huan Ji frowned and looked back at Li Mu. She said unhappily, "Why are you using so much strength? You're hurting me." Chapter 444. Illusion Princess Manor. A woman was chained up and her magic power was sealed. Hu Jiu flew around her and said coldly, "I knew that the great Zhou court wouldn't be honest. You really have spies. Tell me, who else are your accomplices? Where are they?" The people from Meizong were glaring at her from the side. The woman looked straight ahead and said lightly, "I have no accomplices. You can kill me or torture me as you wish." Li Mu was also standing in the crowd. He looked angry but he felt helpless. He knew that the imperial court had spies in the demon country and the demon sect. The Zhu Wei was the Empress's intelligence organization. They were the ones who spread the news about the White Emperor's cave abode. This woman should be from the Zhu Wei. The reason why she was caught was because the people of Meizong sect found her suspicious. Later, when she left, they entered the room to search. Sure enough, they found the communication magic treasure that she used to contact her superiors. Thus, she was captured by the people of Meizong sect. An expert from Meizong sect threatened, "It's not that easy to die. If you want to have a complete corpse, you'd better confess your accomplices. Otherwise, you'll know what it means to beg for death but not be able to." The woman sneered and said, "I really want to know." The strong cultivator looked at Illusion Princess and said, "Master, this woman is too stubborn. She won't confess without torture." Illusion Princess raised her hand and said, "Lock her up first." The spy was taken away. Illusion Princess ordered the others, "You guys keep an eye on her. She must have accomplices in Thousand Fox City. They will most likely come to save her. If they don't, it won't be too late to torture her." Everyone praised in unison, "Master Illusion Princess is brilliant." Illusion Princess added, "Send another order to Meizong sect. Tell everyone to pay close attention to the strange people in the city. If they find anything, report it immediately." After a while, Li Mu walked out of Illusion Princess Manor slowly. The people from the Zhu Wei were the Empress's people. How could Li Mu not save the Empress's people? However, he could not break into the prison directly. He had more important things to do here. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he could not expose himself. If he wanted to save someone, he would do it in a roundabout way. Hu Jiu floated behind him and asked, "Little snake, where are you going?" "Li Mu, go take a bath." A Meizong expert said, "This kid knows how to enjoy life more and more." Hu Jiu sighed. "It's a pity that I lost my body. Otherwise, we could soak together." Chang'e Palace. Mr. Mei, Shangguan Li, and Zhu Wei, who was already dressed in black, stood in the hall. The atmosphere was somber. The spies of the Zhu Wei in the Thousand Fox country had just sent news that a spy had fallen into the hands of the Meizong sect. Although there were still a few spies in the Thousand Fox country, it was impossible for them to rescue her from the countless experts of the Meizong sect and the Thousand Fox country with their strength. If they forcefully took action, they would only cause more casualties. Mr. Mei thought for a moment and asked, "Li Mu is there too. Can he, Before the Empress could respond, the Ju Wei said decisively, "Absolutely not." Her expression was solemn as she said, "Everyone in the Chrysanthemum Guard, from the day they joined the Chrysanthemum Guard, they have this awareness. They cannot sacrifice others just to save one person. Official Li has more important things to do, he cannot take the risk." Mr. May sighed and didn't say anything more. For the sake of the overall situation, he had to give up something. Whether it was for the imperial court or the Empress, Li Mu was much more important than that spy. Zhou Yi rubbed her forehead. She had taken out the spiritual snail, but she still hadn't contacted Li Mu. This was a choice she couldn't make easily. She didn't want Li Mu to take the risk, but she also didn't want to give up a loyal subject. Just as she was in a dilemma, the spiritual snail in her hand began to vibrate slightly. Zhou Yi didn't hesitate to input spiritual power. Li Mu's voice immediately came from the spiritual snail. "Your Majesty, in Thousand Fox City, a spy of the Ju Wei has fallen into the hands of the Meizong sect." Zhou Yi said, "I know. You." Before she finished speaking, Li Mu's voice came again. "In my current situation, I can save her, but it will inevitably be suspected. It's best for the imperial court to negotiate. I received a message from the Meizong sect. Princess Yunyang has been infiltrated by the Meizong sect. There should be an important person from the Meizong sect in her residence. Your Majesty can send someone to capture that person and exchange him in Thousand Fox Country." Zhou Yi's lips moved, but before she could speak, there was no sound from the other side. In order not to arouse suspicion, Li Mu's messages were always very brief. Zhou Yi put away the spiritual snail, looked at the three people in the hall, and said, "Let the Office of Worship seal the residence of Princess Yunyang and search it thoroughly." The three people looked excited and bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty." After they walked out of Changle Palace, Zhou Yi took out the spiritual snail again and said bitterly, "You didn't even let me say one more word." Compared to the joy of solving the predicament, she was more regretful. She regretted letting Li Mu leave. If she hadn't let Li Mu leave, her favored subject wouldn't have been bullied by that vixen, and he wouldn't have had to massage the vixen's back. That vixen let her know that not all foxes were as cute as Xiao Bai. In Shendu, Princess Yunyang's residence was suddenly sealed by the Office of Worship with a large formation, shocking countless dignitaries in southern court. Then they found a demon sect spy in Princess Yunyang's residence and found evidence of Princess Yunyang's collusion with the demon sect, which set off a huge wave. After Cui Ming, Princess Yunyang also colluded with the demon sect. The Xiao royal family was terrified and hurriedly distanced themselves from Princess Yunyang. The Zhou faction also didn't let go of this opportunity, and used these two matters to fiercely impeach the Xiao royal family. After a long time, the new faction and the old faction once again erupted into fierce conflict. Li Mu, who was in Thousand Fox Nation, didn't know about this matter, and he felt a little melancholy. Because he liked to soak in baths, Huan Ji specially had someone build a bathhouse for him in his courtyard, and also prepared 2 little vixens for him to order around. This way, Li Mu had no reason to go out again. In Huan Ji's residence, Li Mu couldn't use the spiritual snail. There were too many strong people here, and it was very likely that he would be exposed. In other words, from now on, his only way of contacting the Empress was also cut off. After many days, Li Mu also figured out Huan Ji's methods. He didn't know if it was because she felt guilty, but the more she did things to Li Mu and ordered him around, the better she would treat Li Mu afterwards, as if it was a kind of compensation. On this day, Li Mu was massaging Huan Ji's shoulders while listening to Hu Jiu's report. "My lord, in these few days, there hasn't been anyone behaving strangely in the city, especially near the prison. There hasn't been any special situation, so they probably won't save anyone." Just as he finished speaking, someone hurried in and said with an ugly expression, "My lord Huan Ji, someone from the Great Zhou court came, saying that they caught one of our spies in Shendu and want to use her to exchange for that woman." Huan Ji frowned and asked, "Which spy?" That person gritted his teeth and said, "It's Hu Lu." "What?" Huan Ji's expression finally changed. Hu Lu was a very important spy that they had planted in the Great Zhou imperial court. Ever since Cui Ming's death, she had taken the opportunity to bewitch and rope in Princess Yunyang. Apart from gathering information, she was also planning something big. Hu Lu was the best spy cultivated by the Meizong sect. Her mission in these few years was to hide and didn't do anything, so it was impossible for her to be exposed. The only possibility was that someone had leaked the information. Huan Ji's expression darkened and said, Only a few people know about this. Who leaked the information? Hu Jiu's expression also became serious and said, "Could there be a spy among them?" Huan Ji said in a low voice, "Gather everyone who knows about this." Li Mu followed Hu Jiu out and said, "Brother Hu Jiu, I know about this too." Hu Jiu waved her hand and said, "I know it can't be you. How can you be a spy? How could a person who hid for half a month and narrowly escaped death and infiltrated the heretical cultivation organization alone be a spy? How could a person who rushed to the front of every mission and risked his life to save his compatriots be a spy? Besides, he joined the demon sect because the Meizong sect invited him. The possibility of Meizong sect inviting a spy in the Great Zhou court was so small that it was negligible. Anyone could be a spy, but he definitely wasn't." Hu Jiu thought carefully for a moment and gritted her teeth and said, "Wolf 13, it must be Wolf 13. I thought there was something wrong with this guy. He might be a spy that the wolf cubs sent into our Thousand Fox country. Hu Lu has a good relationship with him. She must have told the wolf cubs." Chapter 445. It was a secret in Meizong that Hu Lu was a spy in Princess Yunyang's mansion. Only a few people knew about it. In order to find the spy who leaked the information, Phantom Princess ordered Hu Jiu to gather everyone who knew about it. In the courtyard, everyone, including Hu Jiu, had to be questioned by Phantom Princess. This wasn't an ordinary question. Phantom Princess used the Fox clan's charm to find the deepest secret in their hearts. It was called heart questioning. Phantom Princess wouldn't use the heart questioning technique on them unless it was absolutely necessary. However, Hu Lu's exposure was a huge blow to Meizong. In order to avoid greater losses in the future, she had to catch the spy. There were 5 demons who knew about this secret. Hu Jiu was the first to float over. She opened her mind completely and looked into Phantom Princess's eyes. She said, "Lord Phantom Princess, please ask." Phantom Princess nodded. Her pupils suddenly turned into a bottomless whirlpool. Her voice was ethereal as if she was in the clouds. She asked slowly, "Did you leak Hu Lu's information to the Great Zhou court?" Hu Jiu's expression was dull. She said blankly, "No." Phantom Princess continued to ask, "Have you done anything to betray Meizong?" Hu Jiu shook her head. "No." Li Mu secretly glanced at Phantom Princess's eyes. His mind was almost sucked in. This made him vigilant. He had already experienced the charm of the Fox clan from Xiao Bai. However, Xiao Bai's charm was innate. Phantom Princess used the Fox clan's special ability to cast it. It was even harder to resist. The power of the heart-questioning technique was even stronger than Wan Wan's spiritual eyes. Phantom Princess used this method to ask 3 people in a row. However, she didn't get anything out of them. When she asked the 4th person and was about to ask the 5th, the last person suddenly rushed into the sky and flew away quickly. Hu Jiu was stunned. She said coldly, "Damn it, Wolf-Sher-San. I knew it was you." Several figures followed her into the sky and chased after Wolf-Sher-San. Li Mu stood in the same place and looked at this scene in shock. He didn't know what was going on. After all, this was Thousand Fox City, the territory of Meizong sect. Soon, Wolf-Sher-San was captured by Hu Jiu and the others. His mana was sealed. Under Phantom Princess's questioning, Wolf-Sher-San's secret was quickly dug out. He was not a spy for the Great Zhou court, but he was a spy for the Yao race. Within the borders of the demon nation, the demons were divided. The various great demons were also eyeing each other covetously, constantly thinking of devouring each other to strengthen themselves. The Wolf Demon clan was one of the top clans in the Yao nation. The ones who fought for the Demon Emperor's abode last time were merely a branch of the Wolf Demon clan. The true Wolf Demon clan was far more powerful than the average demon clan. Their leader, the Blue Wolf Demon King, was a 7th realm mystic demon that was no weaker than the Lord of Myriad Illusions. He had 4 6th realm demon kings under his command. His strength was far beyond that of the Thousand Fox nation. Because of his handsome appearance, Wolf-Sher-San was chosen by the Meizong sect many years ago. He successfully went undercover in the Thousand Fox country and delivered a lot of information to the Wolf Demon clan. Although he was not the one who leaked the information about Hu Lu, he still could not pass Phantom Princess's second question. Wolf-Sher-San had never imagined that after hiding in the Thousand Fox nation for so long, successfully infiltrating the Meizong sect, and even becoming Phantom Princess's personal guard, he would fall for something that had nothing to do with him in the end. Hu Jiu materialized and kicked Wolf-Sher-San non-stop. She scolded him as she kicked him. We treated you like a brother. How dare you betray us? Damn it. I told you to go undercover. I told you to go undercover. You ungrateful wolf cub. I shouldn't have saved you in the first place. Phantom Princess waved her hand, and Wuxia was taken away by two people. Her expression was still dark. Wuxia was not the one who leaked the information to the Great Zhou court. It was someone else. Who else knows about Hu Lu? Behind her, Li Mu raised his hand weakly and said softly, Lord Phantom Princess, there's still me. Phantom Princess was surprised. How did you know? Li Mu explained, last time, Brother Hu Jiu accidentally mentioned it in front of me. Lord Phantom Princess, why don't you use the soul-searching technique on me? Phantom Princess thought for a moment and said to Li Mu, look into my eyes. Li Mu looked into Phantom Princess's eyes and silently recited the mind-clearing technique. Phantom Princess's eyes became extremely deep. She asked 2 questions and got negative answers. No one was surprised. They didn't suspect him at all. Not to mention his contributions to the Meizong sect, a spy would be too guilty to escape. How could Lord Phantom Princess take the initiative to question him? This was enough to explain everything. Hu Jiu was puzzled. Who could it be? Someone said, could it be that Hu Lu accidentally exposed himself? That's the Great Zhou's divine capital. There are many strong people there. If he's not careful, he will be exposed. At this moment, the question of who leaked the news was no longer the most important question. The people sent by the Great Zhou court were already outside the Thousand Fox City. Phantom Princess needed to decide immediately whether to exchange the spy. Phantom Princess took a deep breath and said, let him in. 15 minutes later, in the courtyard of Phantom Princess Mansion. Phantom Princess sat on a chair in the courtyard. Li Mu stood beside her. A thin old man with a short beard walked in from outside. When the old man saw Li Mu standing in the courtyard, his originally calm expression changed drastically. He blurted out, Lord Li. Thousand Fox Country was in the Yao Nation. The messenger sent by the imperial court was naturally not weak. The person who came was one of the 2 high priests of the worship department. Phantom Princess was stunned when she saw his reaction. Then she realized something. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She said lightly, Li Mu, come and massage my shoulders. Li Mu walked behind her and put his hands on her shoulders, gently massaging them. The high priest looked at Lord Li, behind Phantom Princess. His eyes flashed and he quickly realized. With a gloomy expression he said, he has a demonic aura. This is not Lord Li, Fox Demon. How dare you humiliate an important official of the Great Zhou and the Great Zhou court? Phantom Princess smiled and said, I didn't say that this is your Lord Li. He's my personal guard. It's just a coincidence that his name is Li Mu. You've mistaken him for someone else. With that, she stretched her body and said, Li Mu, help me massage my legs. Li Mu squatted beside her and gently hammered her legs through her long dress. The high priest said angrily, Fox Demon, don't go too far. Phantom Princess snorted coldly. I'm ordering my personal guard. How is that bullying? Li Mu, a little higher. Use more strength. The high priest took a deep breath and calmed himself down. The Fox Demon's intention was obvious. She was humiliating the court. She deliberately found a demon that looked exactly like Lord Li, and gave him the same name as Lord Li. She wanted to humiliate Lord Li and the court. However, there was nothing he could do about it. The high priest stopped looking at the demon and said, Thousand Fox Country captured our people. We also captured your people. I'm here on the orders of the court to discuss the exchange. Phantom Princess glanced at him indifferently. Do you think we'll exchange just because you say so? The high priest's eyes were indifferent. He said indifferently, I'm just asking for your opinion. If you want to exchange, then exchange. If you don't want to, then save me the trouble. I'll tell the court that the Fox Demon will be publicly executed tomorrow. Phantom Princess stood up abruptly. How dare you? The chief high priest snorted coldly and said, Whether the spies of the imperial court die or not, it will not affect my salary. Do you want to trade or not? Give me a straightforward answer now. I am still waiting to go back and report. Phantom Princess's expression was ugly. She was no longer as arrogant as before. Hu Lu was one of them. This damned old man didn't care about the lives of the Great Zhou spies. but she couldn't watch her fellow clansmen die. After taking a deep breath, she glared fiercely at the high priest and said, "Exchange! Hu Jiu, bring the great Zhou spy here." Yes. Hu Jiu flew out after receiving the order. The high priest stayed in the courtyard. He glanced at the fox demon opposite him. This little fox would have to cultivate for a few more decades if she wanted to fight with him. Soon, his gaze moved to the little demon. It was unknown where this fox demon had found such a demon that looked so similar to Lord Li. She was shouting at him and ordering him around. Wasn't this purely disgusting? It was unknown how Lord Li would feel if he saw this. Phantom Princess didn't anger the old man in front of her. Instead, he forced her to be angry. She saw that the old man's gaze was on Li Mu. She rolled her eyes and came up with a plan. Since the old man couldn't stand the little snake that looked exactly like Li Mu serving her, she would make him do it. He thought it was humiliating, so she would humiliate him. She sat back on the chair and said, "Li Mu, come over and massage my shoulders. Massage your legs. Massage your shoulders. Peel these grapes and feed them to me. Get a basin of water and help me wash my feet." Li Mu could tolerate massaging her shoulders and legs. He could also bear peeling grapes and feeding them to her. Li Mu could also grit his teeth and do it. But washing her feet was a bit too much. If he really washed her feet today, she might let him rub her feet tomorrow. Li Mu took a deep breath. He looked at Phantom Princess and said, "Lord Phantom Princess, I feel that you are trampling on my dignity." Phantom Princess also felt that she had gone too far. But she didn't want to lose face in front of outsiders. After thinking about it, she gritted her teeth and transmitted her voice to Li Mu. "Be obedient. In a few days, I will let you comprehend the heavenly book." A smile appeared on Li Mu's face as he asked, "Do you like the foot bath hot or cold?" Chapter 446. Looking at the ridiculous scene in front of him, Great Reverend Chen's breathing quickened, and the veins on his forehead throbbed. He couldn't watch anymore, so he closed his eyes and blocked his hearing. This little fox demon was really shameless to the extreme. If she had the ability, she should have fought with Lord Li. Why did she find a little demon that looked similar to him and shout at him? Who was she trying to disgust? Out of sight, out of mind. He patiently waited for the hostage exchange. Soon, Hu Jiu brought a woman over. Great Reverend Chen opened his eyes again after sensing it with his spiritual perception. Hu Jiu held the woman and asked, "Where's Hu Lu?" Great Reverend Chen waved his hand, and a figure appeared out of thin air. It was a seductive and beautiful woman, but her entire body was tied up, and her mouth was gagged with a piece of white cloth. After both sides exchanged hostages, Great Reverend Chen grabbed the woman's shoulder and left without looking at Phantom Princess again. On the highest peak of Thousand Fox City, a Mirage faction powerhouse asked a handsome man, "Great Elder, why didn't you capture this person? If everyone attacked together, he wouldn't be able to leave Thousand Fox City today." The handsome man shook his head and said, "When two countries are at war, they don't kill envoys. It's not difficult to capture him, but if the brothers and sisters of Meizong faction fall into the hands of others in the future, only death awaits." In the courtyard, Hu Jiu untied Hu Lu, removed the white cloth from her mouth, and unlocked her magic power shackles. She quickly asked, "Sister Lu, are you all right?" Hu Lu spat a few times and said through gritted teeth, "I'm fine." Hu Jiu sighed and asked, "How did you suddenly get exposed?" Hu Lu said angrily, "How should I know? I hid well and was still waiting for an opportunity." Princess Yunyong's residence was suddenly surrounded by Great Zhou's Great Reverend's department. 2 sixth realms and more than a dozen fifth realms appeared in front of me. What happened? Who leaked the news? Hu Jiu shook her head and said, "We haven't found him yet, but you don't know that Wolf 13 is actually a spy from the Wolf tribe. You've misjudged him. Hu Lu might have returned safely, but this wasn't a good thing for Meizong faction. She was originally a spy with an important mission, but she was caught by the Great Zhou court and exchanged with a Great Zhou spy, causing Meizong sect to lose an important chess piece. In addition, they had yet to find out how Fox 6 information was leaked. In other words, Meizong sect had a spy with an unknown identity. They didn't know when he would give them another heavy blow. For a long period of time, many people in Meizong sect became nervous and wary of each other because of this incident. In the Imperial Study of Fairies capital, Great Deacon Chen was reporting on his work. Facing the youngest and most powerful person on the continent, his attitude was extremely humble. The mission this time was very simple. He just had to bring the fox demon to the Yao nation in exchange for the spy of the Ju Wei. Just as he was about to leave, the Empress suddenly asked, "Did you see someone who looks like Li Mu in the Thousand Fox Nation?" Head Reverend Chen was stunned for a moment before he nodded and said, "I saw it." He didn't know how the Empress knew about this. Did the imperial court have other spies in Qianhu Nation? The Empress asked again, "What is he doing?" Great Deacon Chen said, "I almost forgot about this. That fox demon is really shameless. I don't know where she found a little demon who looks exactly like Lord Li. In front of me, not only did she ask that little demon to massage her legs and shoulders, but she also asked that little demon to wash her feet. She's deliberately humiliating the imperial court." The curtain was silent for a long time before the Empress's voice was heard again. "Wash her feet?" Great Deacon Chen nodded and said, "Yes. She deliberately asked that little demon to do these things for the imperial court. She's using this shameless method to humiliate the imperial court." After a long silence, the Empress said, "You may leave." Great Deacon Chen cupped his hands and left the imperial study. After leaving the imperial study, he suddenly felt a powerful aura soaring into the sky from the palace behind him before he took a few steps. Great Deacon Chen sighed. It seemed that the fox demon's goal had been achieved. She was one of her favorite officials, and perhaps not only that. Being ordered around by another demoness like this, not to mention the Empress, even he would not be able to tolerate it. Meanwhile, in the imperial study, Mr. Mei was trying his best to console the Empress. "Your Majesty, don't be rash. You can't leave the divine capital anymore. He's enduring for the sake of the imperial court and your Majesty. If he hadn't endured these grievances, we wouldn't have caught that fox demon spy. It won't be too late to make that fox demon pay the price when the opportunity arises." Qianhu Nation. Li Mu waited for Phantom Princess to ask him to study the heavenly tomes. However, Great Deacon Chen had already left for several days, and Phantom Princess hadn't mentioned it again. Li Mu now suspected that he'd been tricked by Phantom Princess. What she meant by "a few days later" was probably the same as the next time. However, Li Mu really believed her at that time. For this, he even gave up his dignity. Before this, he'd only touched Lu Hanyan's jade feet. Now, he was reduced to washing a fox's feet. He couldn't accept this. One day, he would also order Phantom Princess around like a servant for a few days to relieve the humiliation in his heart. Li Mu was thinking about the heavenly tomes. When he was drinking with Hu Jiao and the others, he asked indirectly, "Brother Hu Jiao, have any of you seen the heavenly tomes?" Hu Jiao shook her head and said, "The heavenly tomes are the heavenly lord's treasures. How could we have seen them? In the past, only those who made great contributions had the chance to study them." Li Mu asked, "What's considered a great contribution?" Hu Jiao said, "If you can take in those wolf cubs and make them subordinates of the Thousand Fox Country, you'll definitely have the chance to study the heavenly tomes. Or if you can save Phantom Princess once, the Heavenly Lord will probably let you study the heavenly tomes." Sixth sister risked her life to save Phantom Princess when she was in danger. That's how she got the chance to study the heavenly tomes. Taking in the Wolf Demon Clan was expanding the territory. The Wolf Demon Clan was even stronger than the Thousand Fox Country. Li Mu didn't have the ability to take them in. As for the hero saving the beauty, Phantom Princess herself was very powerful. It wasn't anyone's turn to save her. This was something that could only be chanced upon. Hu Jiao patted him on the shoulder and said, "Don't be discouraged. There are other ways. If you have the chance in the future, if you can catch Li Mu, you can also study the heavenly tomes. As long as you can catch him, in addition to studying the heavenly tomes, you can also become the Heavenly Lord's disciple. The Heavenly Lord only has one disciple now." Li Mu drank a mouthful of wine. He also couldn't do this. Not to mention that he couldn't catch himself, in front of the Heaven Lord of Illusions. He might not be able to continue pretending as a snake demon. Before the Heaven Lord of Illusions came out of seclusion, comprehending the heavenly tomes and leaving this place was the safest way. Li Mu had already experienced the strength of a seventh realm expert. If the Empress hadn't arrived in time last time, he would have become Phantom Princess prisoner. Hu Jiao asked, "Why? Do you want to study the heavenly tomes?" Li Mu glanced at her and said, "Didn't you say that studying the heavenly tomes is good for cultivation?" "My cultivation is too low. I want to improve." Hu Jiao smiled and said, "Then you should serve Lord Phantom Princess well. Maybe one day, Lord Phantom Princess will be happy and give you the chance to study the heavenly tomes. Or if you have the ability to make Lord Phantom Princess fall in love with you, you can have anything you want, let alone the heavenly tomes. At this moment, Li Mu missed Li Si very much. If he had Li Si by his side to advise him, it might not be impossible to take down Phantom Princess in a short time. Whether it was a pure young girl or a passionate young woman, Li Si had ways to deal with them. Phantom Princess, who had never experienced love, was the easiest to deceive. But thinking about it, he felt that he was paying too much. It was not worth it to lose his innocence for a page of the heavenly tomes. For Xiao Bai, he could temporarily put down his dignity, but there were still some bottom lines that couldn't be touched. Hu Jiu gulped down a mouthful of wine. She put her arm around Li Mu's shoulder and said sadly, "Little snake, who do you think that damn spy is?" Chapter 447. Li Mu sighed with Hu Jiu. "Yes, who leaked the secret?" Hu Jiu looked at Li Mu and seemed to realize something. She murmured, "Damn it, did I accidentally leak it when I was drunk?" "Sure." Li Mu put his index finger on his lips and said, "Brother Hu Jiu, be careful. Don't drink any more." In the end, Meizong's sect did not find out the spy. The matter of Hu Lu being exposed was left unsettled. In Illusion Princess Mansion, Li Mu put his hand on Illusion Princess's shoulder, but his mind was not on her. He could not go on like this. He did not have the patience to spy beside Illusion Princess for 8 to 10 years. When Lord of Illusions came out, the risk of him being exposed would increase greatly. He had to get the tomes of Arcane as soon as possible. But how? Li Mu massaged Illusion Princess's shoulder with no interest. A figure in white slowly walked in from outside. It was an extremely handsome young man. He walked in with a smile on his face, and a trace of surprise flashed through his eyes when he saw Li Mu behind Huan Ji. After that he said, "Junior sister, he's the snake demon that joined the charm sect not long ago, right?" "Junior sister. Have you investigated him?" Illusion Princess looked at him indifferently and said, "Are you suspecting my people?" The young man smiled and said, "Junior sister, don't misunderstand. I am just reminding you. Hu Lu's incident happened not long ago. We have to be vigilant. If someone with ulterior motives sneaks into Meizong's sect and something like Hu Lu happens again, Meizong's sect will lose." After saying this he said, "Father is holding a banquet in the palace tonight. Mother asked me to invite junior sister." Illusion Princess said without hesitation, "I have something important to do tonight. You can go back first. I am going to cultivate." The young man nodded and said, "Then I will go back first." After turning around, the smile on his face disappeared and was replaced by a gloomy look. Seeing the young man turn around and leave, Li Mu looked away from his back. He had been in the Thousand Fox Nation for some time and had some understanding of this person's identity. This person was also a fox demon, but compared to other fox demons, his status was much more noble. He was the only disciple of the Lord of Illusions and the Crown Prince of the Thousand Fox Nation. Although the Myriad Illusion Heavenly Lord had a high status in Thousand Fox and was respected by the demons, the Huan clan was not a royal clan. The royal family of Thousand Fox was surnamed Bai and the royal family was the Bai clan. However, the 10,000 Illusions Lord was very powerful. Even the imperial family respected him very much. The Phantom Princess also had a high status in the Thousand Fox country. Li Mu had heard from Hu Jiu more than once that Bai Xian, the crown prince of the Thousand Fox country, had been chasing after Huan Ji. Everyone knew that even though the Lord of Heaven had a son and a daughter, Lord Huan Ji was the one who received the true teachings of the Lord of Heaven. The Lord of Heaven had even passed down the heavenly book to her. Whoever could marry Huan Ji or be married by her would have a limitless future. Entering the Meizong sect, capturing Li Mu, and marrying Huan Ji were the three highest ideals of the demons of Thousand Fox country. Li Mu stood behind Huan Ji and said, "The crown prince likes Lord Huan Ji." Huan Ji said indifferently, "The line of people who like me can stretch from here to the divine capital. Bai Xian is not one of them. I heard from Hu Jiu that you also like me?" Hu Jiu did not disappoint Li Mu. As long as he told Hu Jiu a secret, it was the same as telling everyone. Li Mu said honestly, "The first time I saw Lord Huan Ji, I fell in love with you. I have liked you for a long time." If other girls heard this, they might panic. However, Huan Ji had experienced this countless times. Even her tone did not change at all. She said, "You are too weak. I will not like a man who is weaker than me." Li Mu did not know what was wrong with her. If the Empress also thought this way, she would probably be lonely for the rest of her life. Although he was complaining in his heart, his expression became firm. He said, "I will work hard to cultivate." Huan Ji shook her head. She could not bear to hurt him anymore. After all, she had bullied him enough. She had to give him some hope. At this moment, Li Mu asked again, "Lord Huan Ji, what kind of contribution do I need to make to be able to comprehend the heavenly book?" Huan Ji asked casually, "Why do you need to comprehend the heavenly book?" Li Mu said, "I heard that the heavenly book contains the laws of heaven and earth. Those who comprehend the heavenly book can comprehend the laws of heaven and earth and become stronger." Huan Ji did not expect him to be so determined to become stronger. She smiled and said, "You don't need to make any contributions. Follow me for 5 years. After 5 years, I will ask my father to make an exception and let you comprehend the heavenly book once." Li Mu shook his head. 5 years is too long. I have no chance. Huan Ji leaned comfortably on the chair and said, "Then there is no other way. Unless you can subdue the wolf clan or capture Li Mu alive in front of me. Or you can bring the heads of the top 10 heretical cultivation here." After a while, Li Mu found Hu Jiao and asked, "What are the top 10 heretical cultivation?" Hu Jiao asked in confusion, "Why do you ask this?" Li Mu said, "Tell me first." Hu Jiao explained, "The top 10 heretical cultivation are the 10 hangers-on of the Zheojiang Commandery Prince. They are all evil people. Their hands are stained with the blood of the demon clan. The Meizong sect has tried to assassinate them many times, but they are not weak and very cunning. They are also protected by the Great Zhou court. We have been helpless against them." The top 10 heretical cultivation did not refer to the 10 most powerful heretical cultivation cultivators, but specifically to the 10 hangers-on of the Zheojiang Commandery Prince. Their cultivation was the strongest in the creation realm, and the weakest in the heretical cultivation. Their strength was not the strongest, but their background was the most profound. They firmly controlled the black industry that sold and hunted the demon clan. Countless demons were killed by them. Some were killed for their elixirs and souls, and some were sold to cultivators as cultivation furnaces or entertainment tools. Because they had the support of the Zheojiang Commandery Prince and the Imperial Court, no one dared to provoke them. Hu Jiao looked at Li Mu and asked, "Why do you ask this?" Li Mu waved his hand and said, "Just asking." In the morning, after Huan Ji got up and washed up, she habitually shouted, "Li Mu!" No one in the courtyard next to her responded. "Li Mu?" Huan Ji shouted a few more times, but there was still no response. She flew to the courtyard next door, but there was no sign of Li Mu. She opened the door, and the quilt on the bed was neatly folded. She thought that Li Mu had gone out, but he did not appear for the entire day. It was not until nighttime that Huan Ji found Hu Jiao and asked, "Did you see Li Mu today?" Hu Jiao was surprised and said, "Little Snake, isn't Little Snake following you from morning to night?" Huan Ji said, "I didn't see him today." Hu Jiao said, "I'll send someone to look for him." Not long after, Hu Jiao flew back with a puzzled expression and said, "I've looked everywhere in the city. Bathhouses, brothels and taverns, but there was no sign of him." Li Mu had never disappeared for no reason, except for the time when he broke into the heretical cultivation organization alone and took back Hu Jiao's body. Huan Ji seemed to have realized something and blurted out, "Did he really go to kill the top 10 heretical cultivation?" The top 10 heretical cultivation organization. Hu Jiao also remembered something and said in shock, "He just asked me about the top 10 heretical cultivation organization yesterday. Why would he go to kill them?" Huan Ji was annoyed and said, "I told him that as long as he killed the top 10 heretical cultivation organization, he would be able to comprehend the heavenly book. I didn't expect him to really go." Hu Jiao was worried and said, "Lord Huan Ji, you shouldn't have said that. You know that Little Snake looks smart, but he is stubborn. Even if you were just joking, he would definitely take it seriously." Huan Ji was also regretful and murmured, How would I know that he would really go?" Hu Jiao flew around anxiously and said, It's over. If he wants to kill the top 10 heretical cultivation organization, he will definitely go to Zheojiang County and the Zheojiang County King's Mansion. There are countless experts there. He will die there. No, Little Snake is so beautiful, he might die there. Why does he have to comprehend the heavenly book? Huan Ji didn't know how to describe her current feelings. She knew why Li Mu had to comprehend the heavenly book. He wanted to become stronger because of what she said. Just because she said that she didn't like men who were weaker than her, he risked his life for the chance to become stronger. Huan Ji's heart was very complicated. She gritted her teeth and said, "This idiot." Chapter 448. Jiujiang County. Jiujiang County bordered the Yao Kingdom, but it was not like the northern county, where the ancestral court of Fu Lu School, one of the 6 Taoist sects, was in charge. Demons ran rampant in the county, and there were often incidents of demons harassing people. The local government was very worried about such cases, but they were not worried about a large-scale invasion by the Yao Kingdom. The imperial court had stationed a large number of troops around Jiujiang County. Demons that were slightly more powerful could not enter this place at all. Demons of the 6th realm and above were all blocked outside the border. However, this place was close to the Yao Kingdom after all. There were no big demons, but there were many small demons. In Qingjiang County, the snake demon incident had spread in the past 2 days. The cause of the incident was a woodcutter in the mountains. When he was gathering firewood, he accidentally fell off a cliff and almost lost his life. Just when he was exhausted and couldn't hold on to the rock anymore, someone suddenly grabbed him by the shoulder and flew him up the cliff. The person who saved him was an extremely beautiful woman. She had the body of a human and the tail of a snake. She was a snake demon. The woodcutter immediately went down the mountain in shock and reported this to the government. The government sent cultivators to investigate, but they did not find anything. In Qingjiang County, in a mountain where the snake demon incident spread, 2 figures flew over and landed on the cliff. "It should be here. I wonder if the snake girl is still here. Let's not let others get ahead of us. Let's use the snake-seeking talisman to check." The 2 men exchanged a few words. One of them took out a prepared fulu and threw it into the air. The fulu stabilized and quickly flew in a direction. There's a reaction. The snake demon is still here. It's very likely that she's nearby. Chase after her. The 2 men happily chased after the fulu. Not long after, a strong wave of mana came from a forest in the mountains. Not long after, 2 men happily walked out of the forest. One of them carried a cloth bag on his shoulder and said with a smile, "This snake girl is indeed beautiful. She can definitely be sold for a good price. I want to use her to exchange for some spiritual jades and use them to break through to the 4th realm." As soon as he finished speaking, his body suddenly shook. He lowered his head to look at the blood-red sword that had pierced through his chest. His face was blank. His companion behind him smiled and said, "Sorry, I also want to break through to the 4th realm. However, the spiritual jades exchanged for this snake demon can only satisfy one person." "Sorry." The man's body was pierced through. His nascent spirit struggled to escape, but he had lost his body and was only left with his nascent spirit. How could he be a match for a cultivator of the same level who still had his body and nascent spirit? He was quickly caught and his nascent spirit was destroyed. After the other man destroyed the corpse, he picked up the sack and quickly disappeared. Qingjiang County. Wu Family Courtyard. The Wu family was a powerful family in Qingjiang County. The head of the family, Wu Liang, was a cultivator and had many friends. Cultivators often went in and out of the Wu family. The head of the family, Wu Liang, was also a hanger-on of the Jiujiang Commandery Prince. He had a great influence in Qingjiang County. Even the Qingjiang County government had to give some face to the Wu family. The Wu family courtyard was not in Qingjiang County. Instead, it was 10 miles west of the city. It was an independent manor that occupied an extremely large area. A carriage slowly stopped at the back door of the Wu family. 2 people alighted from the carriage, carrying a gray sack, and entered the Wu family. One of them made a hand seal and muttered something. A hole suddenly opened in the ground. The 2 of them jumped in and the hole quickly closed. There was another world under the Wu residence. The buildings on the surface of the manor were already very luxurious. Underground, it was even more luxurious. It was not an exaggeration to call it an underground palace. Buildings stood side by side. Occasionally, people would enter and exit. Most of them were warm and fragrant women. The 2 men carried the sack and walked to the innermost part of the manor. They followed the stairs and went down another floor. On the 2nd floor of the basement, there were many small cubicles. It was like a prison cell. In the cubicles, there were men and women, humans and demons. All of them were handsome. However, the figures in the cubicles, regardless of whether they were men or women, had the same numb expression. They were like walking corpses. The entire basement of the basement was abnormally quiet. It was even a little dead. One of them opened the sack and revealed a beautiful woman. "Go in." He pushed the woman into a cubicle and closed the door. He turned and left. Gradually, whispers could be heard from the compartments on the second basement floor. "Another one. It seems to be a demon. She's so beautiful." "So what if she's beautiful? In a few days, she'll end up like us." After the woman was locked in, she leaned against the wall and sat down. She did not say a word. The people around her only paid attention to her for a while. Soon, they fell into silence again. From time to time, people would come in and take people away from the cubicles. Not long after, they would be sent back. After some time, someone finally walked to the woman's cubicle and said, "You, come out with me." Wu residence. Inner courtyard. A middle-aged man walked into the inner courtyard. The old man beside him said in a flattering tone, "Master, a snake demon has just arrived at the residence. It looks so beautiful, and it is very likely that it is still a fledgling. It has already been sent to your room." A hint of excitement appeared in Wu Liang's eyes. He said, "A snake demon is good. Snake demons are the best at pestering people. With some training, she'll be another pillar here." He walked to the door and excitedly rubbed his hands. He said, "If you hear any sounds coming from the room, don't come in." The butler quickly said, "Master, don't worry. We definitely won't disturb your mood." Even if the family head did not say so, they would not dare to enter. If they disturbed his mood at this time, they would be seriously injured or even lose their lives. This was the experience of countless people who used their lives. Wu Liang pushed the door and entered. He quickly closed the door. He looked at the woman sitting at the head of the bed. His eyes suddenly lit up. Even though he had seen countless demons, he had never seen one of such quality. He could not help but pounce to the side of the bed. Outside the courtyard, a few servants of the Wu residence who were waiting here heard the family head's painful cries. They could not help but be puzzled. What was the family head doing inside? Why was he crying out like that? One of them hesitated and said, "Will the family head be okay?" The old butler waved his hand and said, calm down, calm down. This is not the first time. You'll get used to it." Inside the room, Li Mu pressed a hand on the middle-aged man's forehead and forcibly finished searching his soul. His face slowly turned gloomy. When he was in the dungeon, he already knew that this person, who was ranked last in the top 10 heretical cultivation by Meizong sect, was a follower of the Zhejiang Commandery Prince on the surface. However, what he did behind the scenes was dirty and disgusting. They did not only kidnap demons but also humans. After those female demons, female cultivators, and even male demons, were kidnapped, the beautiful demons would be used as cultivation furnaces. The ugly ones would be killed directly for their cores or souls. Although there were fewer human cultivators, they still existed. Of course, it was much faster and more comfortable to harvest other people's energies than to cultivate by oneself. Therefore, it attracted a large number of cultivators. They paid spiritual jades or became the follower of the Zhejiang Commandery Prince. They became regular customers here. And this kind of business gave birth to another black industry. If there were people who needed demons to harvest, there would be people who caught demons for them to harvest. Therefore, a large number of cultivators began to capture demons and sell them to these people. This had become a huge black industry in the Zhejiang Commandery. The Zhejiang Commandery Prince stood at the source of this industry. Li Mu did not know why the Zhejiang Commandery Prince attracted these cultivators through this, but it was definitely not a good thing for the imperial court. He withdrew his hand and did not kill Wu Liang directly. This person had left a life talisman with the Zhejiang Commandery Prince. Once his soul disappeared and the life talisman shattered, the Zhejiang Commandery Prince would be able to sense it immediately. This would not be good for Li Mu's next move. He sealed Wu Liang's primordial spirit and temporarily kept it in the flask heaven space. Not long after, the door opened, and a figure walked out from inside. Outside the courtyard, the old man hurried in and asked, "Master, should we bring her out?" Wu Liang said lightly, "No need. The snake demon is indeed delicious. I want to taste it again tonight. Let her rest first and recover her energy. No one is to disturb her. Otherwise, I'll break his neck." The old man hurriedly said, "Yes, yes, yes. I'll immediately instruct them. Wu Liang walked out of the courtyard and said, "Prepare the carriage. I'm going out to Mu Da's residence." Lord Mu was his master's best friend. Both of them were also the Zheojiang commandery prince's retainers. The old man said, "I'll prepare the carriage now." 15 minutes later at the Mu residence. A man looked at Wu Liang and smiled. "I heard that you have a new snake demon. Let me taste it first." "I haven't tasted a snake demon yet." Wu Liang looked around and lowered his voice. "I have an important matter to discuss with you. Let's talk about it behind closed doors." Mu Da saw his serious expression and also became serious. He closed the door and cast a soundproof spell. Then he asked, "What is it?" Wu Liang smiled and said mysteriously, "Come closer." 15 minutes later the door opened. Two figures walked out side by side and left the Mu residence. The servants of the Mu clan were not surprised by this. The relationship between the two masters was quite good. Their master had left with Lord Wu to taste the wonderful taste of a snake demon. They had heard that snake demons were the best at pestering people, but they did not know if that was true. In the carriage, Mu Da had just entered the carriage when he collapsed. Li Mu continued to search his memories. He whispered, "Who's next?" Chapter 449. Zheojiang Commandery Prince's Mansion. Everyone knew that the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang liked to make friends. Most of the reputable cultivators in Zheojiang Commandery were friends with the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang. Many cultivators even became his followers and received many benefits from the Commandery Prince's mansion every month. At the beginning of every month, on the 15th, the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang would invite his friends to a banquet. All the cultivators in Zheojiang Commandery were honored to be invited. Today was the 15th, the day of the banquet. The Commandery Prince of Zheojiang was entertaining a few new friends when he saw a few empty seats at the banquet. He asked his followers, "Who didn't come today?" A man beside him said, "Lord Wu, Lord Mu, and Lord Mei are cultivating in seclusion in Lord Wu's residence to comprehend a divine ability. They sent someone to apply for leave." After the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang asked for the reason, he didn't take it to heart. Even cultivators couldn't get rid of the desire for good food. The banquet was very sumptuous. The guests drank and chatted. In my opinion, the Commandery Prince should just become the Prince of Zheojiang. The world belongs to the Xiao family. Why should he be the servant of the Zhou family? What kind of world is this? A woman can be the emperor. I've never heard of it. Sooner or later, the great Zhou will be restored to the Xiao family. I think the Commandery Prince is most qualified to be the new emperor. In the corner of the Commandery Prince's mansion, a figure was drinking by himself and listening to the discussions. After the banquet, he left with the crowd. Li Mu had already captured 4 of the top 10 heretical cultivation masters and disguised himself as one to attend the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang's banquet. When he left the Commandery Prince's mansion, he was relieved. The people gathered in the Commandery Prince's mansion were just a bunch of mobs. Most of them were at the concentration theurgy. Only a few of them were at the 5th realm. Even if they gathered together, they wouldn't be able to do much. However, the Commandery Prince of Zheojiang had invested a lot in gathering these people. If it weren't for the huge income from his underground business, he wouldn't have been able to afford so many followers and friends. Li Mu originally intended to continue moving, but his eyebrows suddenly raised, and his figure hid in a dark alley. With a flip of his hand, a small and exquisite compass the size of a palm appeared in his hand. This compass was one of the treasures Illusion Princess had given him. She didn't say what it was used for, but at this moment, the compass needle suddenly moved and pointed in a certain direction. Li Mu followed the compass and arrived at an inn. He walked up to the 2nd floor of the inn and stood in front of a door. The door opened, and Hu Jiao appeared in front of Li Mu. Li Mu walked into the room and his expression changed. He looked at Hu Jiao and asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Hu Jiao winked at Li Mu and stepped back slowly, revealing a figure behind her. She said, "It's not just me." Li Mu quickly walked forward and lowered his head. "Lord Fantasy Princess." Illusion Princess was expressionless and asked calmly, "Did I tell you not to act on your own?" Li Mu said innocently, "Lord Fantasy Princess, didn't you ask me to kill the 10 heretical cultivation masters?" Illusion Princess opened her eyes wide. "When did I ask you to kill the 10 heretical cultivation masters?" Li Mu, you said that as long as I killed the 10 heretical cultivation masters, I would be able to comprehend the heavenly book. Illusion Princess was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. Did I mean that? Li Mu was confused. Is it not? Illusion Princess's chest heaved up and down even more. Hu Jiao quickly floated over and explained, Lord Fantasy Princess, calm down, calm down. Little Snake's brain is stubborn. It's not the first time you know. Illusion Princess's chest finally calmed down, and she said coldly, Come back with me. Li Mu. I can't go back yet. He waved his hand, and 4 straight bodies were placed neatly on the ground. Hu Jiao glanced around and exclaimed, Wu Liang, Mu Da, Mei Ren. 4 of the 10 people are here. How many days has it been? He looked at Li Mu in disbelief. The place where they live is heavily guarded, and there are layers of checks. It's also covered by a formation. How did you break in? Li Mu explained, I didn't break in. They brought me in themselves. He explained the ins and outs of the matter. From the beginning to the end, he had only relied on the art of transformation, relying on the element of surprise to catch the enemy off guard. Then he said, These people's cultivation is not high, so it's easy to sneak up on them. The others are all at the 5th realm, so I'm not completely confident. Hu Jiao looked at Li Mu in a daze. He was good at hiding and could transform. He was simply a natural killer. If he was well prepared, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill people at a higher realm. Huan Ji pondered for a moment and said, Don't worry about the others. You've already captured 4 people. If you make a move now, you'll be discovered easily. Let's save the people in the underground palace first. Li Mu looked hesitant and said, But then I won't be able to collect the heads of the 10 villains. Huan Ji hit his head angrily and said, When we go back, I'll let you comprehend the tomes of arcane. You idiot, if you act on your own again, I'll expel you from Meizong's sect. Li Mu rubbed his head and said solemnly, Yes. For Huan Ji, saving the people who were suffering was obviously more important than killing the enemies. But with their abilities, they couldn't save so many people at the same time. They needed to go back to Thousand Fox City to gather more strong people from Meizong's sect. On the way, Huan Ji gritted her teeth and said, Damn Li Mu. If he hadn't taken the Demon King's cave, we could have saved everyone this time. Li Mu looked innocent. Huan Ji seemed to realize something and explained, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other Li Mu. Li Mu heaved a sigh of relief and said, That's good, that's good. Li Mu had given enough reasons for the people who disappeared from Jiujiang Commandery Prince's retainers. They were either in seclusion or out. As long as their primordial spirits weren't destroyed, no one would suspect that something had happened to them in a short period of time. But Li Mu could only delay for half a month at most. When the next banquet was held by Jiujiang Commandery Prince, if they didn't show up, people would be suspicious. Huan Ji needed to spend some time to gather the strong people from Meizong's sect. Li Mu stood in the courtyard and was hesitating whether he should remind her about the tomes of arcane when he heard Huan Ji's call. Li Mu jumped over the wall and came to Huan Ji's room. He knocked on the door. Come in. Hearing Huan Ji's voice, Li Mu pushed the door open and entered. Huan Ji threw out an item and said, Take it. Li Mu took it and realized that it was a spiritual jade. But it was different from normal spiritual jades. In the center of this spiritual jade, there seemed to be a drop of blood sealed. Li Mu could feel Huan Ji's qi from it. Huan Ji said lightly, Take this item with you. Don't put it in the flask space. Li Mu put it in his sleeve and said, Yes. He roughly understood what it was. Huan Ji had sealed a drop of her essence blood in this spiritual jade. This way, within a certain range, she could sense Li Mu's presence. On the other hand, if Li Mu left this range, she would be able to sense him immediately. It was obvious that this was to prevent him from acting on his own like the previous 2 times. After doing all this, Huan Ji stretched out her hand. A page that Li Mu had been drooling over appeared in her palm. Huan Ji looked at him and said, This is the page of the heavenly book. Father is in seclusion. Without Father's permission, I can't let you study it. But you have contributed a lot to Meizong's sect. I can make an exception this time. You only have 1 night. Make good use of it. Li Mu held the heavenly book with both hands and said gratefully, Thank you, Lord Huan Ji. Huan Ji said lightly, No need to thank me. You used your own merits to exchange for this. You can study it here. Tonight, you can't leave this place. Yes. Li Mu nodded and then sat down cross-legged. He suppressed the joy in his heart. Just as he was about to study it, he suddenly realized something. He looked up at Huanji and asked, "Lord Huanji, how do I study the heavenly book?" In a moment of excitement, he almost forgot that he was playing the role of a country bumpkin snake who had never seen the world. He had never even seen the heavenly book before. How could he know how to study it? Huanji walked to the table and sat down. "Use your spiritual sense to feel it or use your finger to touch it." Li Mu took a deep breath and touched the page with his finger. He slowly closed his eyes. The room returned to silence. Huanji held her chin with one hand and looked at the figure who was seriously studying the heavenly book. She looked a little helpless. She did not know if she should be happy or sad that she had such a hothead under her command. If she said that he was obedient, he always acted on his own and did not listen to orders. If she said that he was disobedient, there was no one more obedient than him. He listened to almost everything she said and fulfilled all of her unreasonable requests without any complaints. After staring at this familiar face for a long time, Huanji thought of another troublesome thing. The damned Li Mu beside the Empress of Great Zhou had become a stone in her heart. She could not pick it up or let it go. She paced back and forth between revenge and gratitude. She was hesitant. In the end, she gritted her teeth and made a decision. Rather than being conflicted for a long time, it was better to make a quick decision. From now on, she and Li Mu had nothing to do with each other. In the future, she would keep the little snake by her side. When she had nothing to do, she could bully him. This could be considered as venting her anger. Although this was not fair to the little snake, as long as she compensated him later. She held her chin with both hands and looked at the face in front of her. Although this face was handsome, it was really asking for a beating. Chapter 450. Li Mu was in a valley covered in green grass. In the distance, the mountains were green, and nearby, there was a gurgling stream. Foxes were jumping on the grass beside the stream. Some of them only had 1 or 2 tails, while some had a bunch of tails behind them. Some had 5, 6, 7, or 8 tails behind them. On a rock in the distance stood a slender white fox. Behind it, 9 long tails fluttered in the wind. Li Mu swallowed his saliva. The 9-tailed celestial fox was a supreme being among demons. It was comparable to a true dragon. It was the highest form of the fox clan. It was also the ultimate goal of Little White, Fantasy Princess, and the other fox demons. 9-tailed fox looked back at Li Mu. Their eyes met and Li Mu felt dizzy. Then, he realized that the one standing on the rock was himself. In the morning, Li Mu slowly opened his eyes in Phantom Princess's room. Phantom Princess sat beside the table and asked, "What did you see?" Li Mu said, "White fog, thick white fog." Phantom Princess continued to ask, "What else?" Li Mu thought for a moment and said, "A 3-tailed fox, a charm god art, an illusion god art." The mystical thing about the heavenly book was that different people would see different things when they comprehended it. Every time they comprehended it, the things they saw would also be different. Charm and illusion were the basic divine abilities of the Fox clan after they transformed. Even if they comprehended it, it wouldn't be of much use. Phantom Princess didn't tell Li Mu that he didn't comprehend anything useful from the heavenly book. She only said, "Cultivate well in the future." These 2 god arts are also very powerful when cultivated to a high level. Li Mu cupped his fists and said, "I will work hard." Walking out of Phantom Princess's courtyard, Li Mu's expression was a bit melancholy. Hu Jiao floated over and asked, "What's wrong? Master Phantom Princess scolded you again?" Li Mu didn't answer and just put his arm around her shoulder and said, "Let's go and drink. It's my treat today." Hu Jiao was shocked. "Did the sun rise from the west today? You're treating me? Why don't you treat? Just pretend that I didn't say anything." It would take Huanji 2 or 3 days to gather the experts of the Meizong sect. During these days, there was nothing urgent. Li Mu and Hu Jiao were drinking and eating in a restaurant in the Thousand Fox City, chatting with each other intermittently. Now that Li Mu had achieved his goal, it was time to consider leaving. His initial plan was to help Xiao by obtain the subsequent cultivation method, and then take the opportunity to escape. From then on, the name of Daniel Wu would completely disappear from the monster race. But when the day came, Li Mu couldn't be so straightforward. To Hu Jiao and Huan Ji, Little Snake was a member of Meizong's sect. Although he was a little stubborn, he was loyal and did not fear death. They would let Little Snake live in their hearts forever. Li Mu asked casually, "When will the Lord of Heaven come out of seclusion?" Hu Jiu said, "Why do you ask?" Li Mu smiled honestly and said, "I admire the Lord of Heaven very much. I don't know when I can meet him." Hu Jiu shook her head and said, "I think it will be a long time. The Lord of Heaven has been in seclusion often these years, and each time he stays in seclusion is longer than the last. I'm afraid we'll have to wait for a year and a half this time." Li Mu was actually most worried about Illusion Lord of Heaven coming out of seclusion. The power of a seventh realm expert was beyond his imagination. If Illusion Lord of Heaven could see through his disguise, all his previous efforts would be in vain. Li Mu was relieved to hear this from Hu Jiu. When they were halfway through their meal, a bell suddenly rang on the peak. It was the bell of Meizong's sect for gathering. They didn't delay and immediately flew to the peak. Many people from Meizong's sect had already gathered on the peak. Illusion Princess and Prince by Xian of Thousand Fox Country were also there. They were both elders of Meizong's sect. Another handsome man with sixth realm cultivation, who looked similar to Illusion Princess, was accompanying a young man. The young man was dressed in white with a black lotus embroidered on his chest. Li Mu's eyes turned cold. The black lotus was the symbol of the Demonic Path Sacred Sect. The status of the Demonic Path Sacred Sect in Demonic Path was equivalent to the status of Baiyun Mountain Ancestral Court in Fulu School. The subsects didn't submit to anyone, but the Sacred Sect had absolute control over the other 9 sections. Even a long time ago, these 9 sects were separated from the Sacred Sect. As a force that existed longer than Taoism and Buddhism, the Demonic Path Sacred Sect had always been a synonym for mystery. Outsiders, even the other sects of the Demonic Path, knew very little about them. Li Mu had the memory of 1,000 illusions venerable, but he only knew that the sacred sect was very powerful. There might be existences beyond the 7th realm among them. Even the demon emperor Bai from 3,000 years ago was extremely afraid of the demonic path in the depths of his memory. The Meizong sect gathered this time just to welcome this person from the sacred sect. Not long after, the young man from the sacred sect went to the palace. The people of the Meizong sect dispersed. Li Mu and Hu Jiu returned to the restaurant. They had only finished half of their food and wine. Hu Jiu looked in the direction of the palace. She raised her head and took a sip of wine. She sighed softly. Li Mu asked, "What's wrong?" Hu Jiu said worriedly, "The people from the sacred sect have come with ill intentions. The conflict between the Lord of Heaven and the sacred sect has been going on for a long time. The Lord of Heaven didn't agree with the matter of the Zheojiang commandery chief. Later, the sacred sect bypassed the Lord of Heaven and sent Cui Ming to the Great Zhou court through the case of the Zheojiang commandery chief. The Lord of Heaven had no choice but to accept it. All these years, the Lord of Heaven has been cultivating wholeheartedly. The First Elder and Lord Illusion Princess have disobeyed the orders of the sacred sect many times. The sacred sect has been disobeyed by the sacred sect and the sacred sect. There was still too little information about the demon sect from the imperial court. If Hu Jiu hadn't mentioned it, Li Mu wouldn't have known about the conflict between the sacred sect and the Meizong sect. Many people from the Meizong sect and the Meizong sect also wanted to overthrow the Great Zhou court. However, they overthrew the rule of the Great Zhou in order to establish a demon clan regime. They didn't want the demon clan to be exploited and killed by humans. The Meizong sect hated humans, but she didn't vent her anger on all humans. Over the years, while they rescued the demon clan, they also rescued many humans. However, some people from the demon clan only wanted to destroy and kill. The Meizong sect ignored the orders of the sacred sect and gradually incurred the dissatisfaction of the sacred sect. Li Mu was certainly happy to see the internal strife of the demon clan. However, Hu Jiu was quite worried. The mysteriousness and power of the sacred sect were rooted in the deepest part of everyone's heart. Even the Lord Saint wouldn't have a good end if he went against them. The sacred sect emissary stayed in the Thousand Fox Country for 2 days. The royal family of the Fox Country accompanied him the whole time. Illusion Princess also had to accompany him. Therefore, she didn't order Li Mu around these 2 days. Imperial Palace. Illusion Princess received Hu Jiu's message. Several strong people from the Meizong sect had already returned to the Thousand Fox City. She cupped her hands to the youth and said, "Lord Emissary, I still have important matters to attend to. Please forgive me for leaving first." The youth didn't speak. The Crown Prince of the Thousand Fox Country by Xian looked at her and said with dissatisfaction, "Junior sister, you don't know the rules. What is more important than the Lord Emissary? Illusion Princess said calmly. There are countless people suffering. I have to go save them. Bai Xian said angrily, Junior sister you. The youth in white smiled and said, saving people is more important. Miss Illusion Princess, you can go. Illusion Princess cupped her hands to him and flew away. After Illusion Princess left, Bai Xian said apologetically, Lord Emissary, please don't be angry. My junior sister has been so unruly since she was young. The youth in white looked at the sky and said lightly, she's not the only one who doesn't know the rules in the Huan family. Hearing this, Bai Xian was shocked and didn't know what to say. The youth in white looked at him and said, I actually came this time to tell you something. Bai Xian cupped his hands and bowed. He said respectfully, please tell me, Lord Emissary. The youth in white said, the elders hope that the Bai family can control the Meizong sect. Bai Xian was ecstatic, but his face showed a difficult expression. He said, the Meizong sect trusts Master. Senior brother Huan Yun and junior sister Huan Ji are the controllers of the Meizong sect. Although the Bai family has many people in the Meizong sect, they don't have much power. After all, Master is at the 7th realm and senior brother Huan Yun is at the 6th realm. The youth in white said, it's not important whether you can or not. What's important is whether you want to or not. Bai Xian said, I want to, but Master won't agree. Senior brother Huan Yun and junior sister Huan Ji won't give up the Meizong sect. The youth in white smiled and asked, what if they all die? Bai Xian's face turned red. He said, Lord Emissary, the heavenly monarch is my master. Senior brother Huan Yun is like my brother. Junior sister Huan Ji is my most beloved woman. The youth in white said, so you can't do it. Bai Xian took a deep breath and said, please let me do it myself. My Bai family is the king of the fox family. I've tolerated that old thing for a long time. The youth in white smiled and said, very good. Not long after, Bai Xian came to the Huan Ji manor. A servant said, Your Highness, Lord Huan Ji just left. Bai Xian said with a worried expression, what should we do? I just did a divination for junior sister Huan Ji. The divination showed a bad omen. Chapter 451. In the northwest of the ancestral state, there were endless mountains. Zhejiang County was an important barrier. It was guarded by a large number of troops, closely monitoring every move of the Yao nation. Although there were many troops, the security of Zhejiang County was not good. The existence of the garrison was to defend against external enemies and would not easily interfere with local politics. Zhejiang County was bordered by the Yao Kingdom, and the county was filled with demons and bandits. The common people lived in groups, and when they went out, they often traveled in groups. Zhejiang County, one of the 9 counties. A woman in white slowly walked on the mountain path. The woman was extremely beautiful. Her figure was graceful, and her face was beautiful. She was naturally charming. When the woodcutter saw her, he could not take his eyes off her. He almost took a wrong step and stepped into a cliff. After the shock, he panted and said to his companion, Such a beautiful girl dares to go out alone. In the past few months at least 8, if not 10, women have mysteriously disappeared around here. His companion disagreed and said, A beauty who dares to go out alone these days can't be an ordinary person. She might be an immortal or a demon. Look at how beautiful she is. She's like a fox spirit. How can a person be so beautiful? On the mountain path, the beautiful woman continued to walk. When she passed by a dense forest, a figure suddenly walked out of the forest. It was a young man in blue. He had the cultivation of spirit condensation. He looked at the woman on the mountain path with a fiery gaze and praised, What a beautiful woman! Such a beautiful woman, even if she was not a rare demon, could be sold for a very good price. After all, although female demons were rarer, not everyone liked demon furnaces. The value of such a beauty was definitely not inferior to any female demons. Looking at the woman on the mountain path, he felt a fire in his heart. He slowly walked towards her. A moment later, the beautiful woman continued to walk. The unconscious young man in blue was hung on a tree. His cultivation had been destroyed. When she was about to reach the foot of the mountain, the woman touched a jade bracelet on her hand. Several figures appeared out of thin air. If everyone swaggered through the air, it would be too eye-catching. Whether it was the military or the local government, it would not be beneficial to the plan. Li Mu, Hu Jiao, and the others hid in Phantom Princess's storage space for a while. For this operation, each of them had a flask heaven space. Although the area was not large, the 7 of them combined were not small. It was enough to accommodate everyone in the Wu family's underground palace. Li Mu had a bigger space, but if he revealed it, his identity would be exposed. So, he could only go back to the Thousand Fox country and let Phantom Princess solve the problem of space herself. Now that he had comprehended the heavenly book of the Fox clan, it was time for him to leave. This time, with Fantasy Princess and the others by his side, Li Mu would not be able to unleash his full potential. After this mission was over, he would try to find an opportunity to escape. He put away these thoughts and said to Huanji and the others, "Lord Huanji, I'll have to trouble you." Phantom Princess nodded and walked into the forest with Hu Lu. When they came out, their hair was tied up and they had changed into men's clothes. They looked very handsome and charming. The beauty of the people from Meizong's sect was not differentiated by gender. No matter if it was a man dressed as a woman or a woman dressed as a man, they were all stunning beauties. Under Li Mu's lead, the group came to the Wu family. It looked like an ordinary manor, but there was actually a powerful formation outside. Unless there was a 6th realm cultivator, it would be very difficult to break in from the outside. Li Mu had changed his appearance. Like Wu Liang, he was also a follower of the Zheojiang Commandery King. He was now lying in the flask heaven space that Phantom Princess gave to Li Mu. His vital spirit and body were imprisoned. A guard of the Wu family came up and said respectfully, "Welcome, Lord Chen. Master is in seclusion and can't receive you personally. Please don't blame him." Li Mu said, "I've brought a few friends to play. You can make the arrangements. I won't disturb Brother Wu." The guard said, "Everyone, please follow me." He held the token and led them through several checkpoints. They came to an empty space in the backyard. He formed a seal with his hands and his lips trembled. A large hole opened in the ground. It was pitch black inside, and they could not see anything. The guard stood at the entrance of the hole and said, "Please go in. Someone will receive you below." Hu Jiao was about to jump down when Phantom Princess suddenly grabbed her collar. Li Mu was also suspicious. He said in a low voice, "Something's wrong." The entire Wu family was eerily quiet. Li Mu and the others had not seen anyone since they came in. It was not like this when Li Mu came last time. The moment Phantom Princess stopped Hu Jiao, the guard of the Wu family was about to retreat. Li Mu pointed at the back of his neck and sealed his cultivation. Phantom Princess had already sensed that something was wrong. She immediately said, "Retreat." But it was too late. The light of the formation flashed in the sky above the Wu family. A translucent shield instantly solidified. The 7 of them were trapped inside the shield. Outside the shield, a dense crowd of people began to gather. An ambush. We've fallen into a trap. Inside the formation, everyone spoke with an ugly expression. When Hu Lu and the others came to their senses, they immediately looked at Li Mu with suspicion and hostility in their eyes. From the beginning, he was the one who provided the information and planned this. If there was a traitor among them, he was the most suspicious. Hu Jiao understood their expressions. She said with a dark face, "What do you mean? Are you suspecting Little Snake?" Hu Lu and Li Mu pulled away and said, "He is indeed the most suspicious. Shouldn't we suspect him?" Hu Jiao said decisively, "It can't be Little Snake. I believe him." While the 2 demons were arguing, Phantom Princess did not panic. She said in a low voice, "Now is not the time to talk about this. Let's work together to break the formation." Her words were very useful. They all took out their weapons and attacked the formation above them. Only Li Mu did not move. He knew that their attacks were useless. The underground palace of the Wu family was the money tree of the Zheojiang Commandery Prince. He had invested a lot in the protective formation here. Even a 6th realm cultivator would need some time to break this formation. If Phantom Princess brought the cultivators of the Meizong and Mirage sects, they might be able to break it. However, she had gathered them in an emergency and did not have enough manpower. They could not even shake this formation. Phantom Princess formed a seal with her hands. A huge 6-tailed fox shadow appeared behind her. She used the fox shadow to unleash her strongest attack. However, it only made the formation shake a little. The formation was still stable. At this moment, Hu Jiu realized that Li Mu did not move. She said angrily, "Why are you still standing there?" Li Mu shook his head and said, "It's useless. I searched the soul of the owner of this place. Even a sixth realm cultivator would need more than 2 hours to break this formation. If we continue like this, we'll just be wasting our magic power." Phantom Princess could unleash a sixth realm attack. However, she only had the power for one attack. It was far from enough to break the formation. She landed and gritted her teeth. There are still spies in the Meizong sect. Outside the array, a young man crossed his arms and looked down at them from above. He said indifferently, "You guys really dared to come?" Hulu raised her head and asked coldly, "How did you know?" The young man smiled and said, "We're going to die. What's the use of knowing this?" Hulu said coldly, "The Lord of Heaven's daughter is here. If you dare to hurt her, the Lord of Heaven will not let you go." The young man sneered and said, "The Lord of Heaven's illusion is so scary. Then let him come. Let's see who will not let who go." The Duke of Jiujiang obviously knew Phantom Princess's identity. Li Mu ruled out the possibility that they discovered something was wrong and set up an ambush in advance. The imperial court did have spies in the Meizong sect. However, they did not have access to such confidential information. The only possibility was that the higher-ups of the Meizong sect leaked the information to the Duke of Jiujiang. Did the Duke of Jiujiang also have spies in the higher-ups of the Meizong sect? Right now, spies were not the most important thing. The Duke of Jiujiang gave the order. Outside the formation, countless cultivators activated the formation at the same time. A sky full of spells attacked them. Although there were no 6th realm cultivators outside the formation, they were all 4th realm and 5th realm cultivators. There were too many of them. Their combined attacks were very close to 6th realm attacks. Even Dongxian cultivators would be in a difficult situation if they were trapped in the formation. Phantom Princess threw out an ancient turtle shell. The turtle shell emitted a faint fluorescent light and covered them. However, the light on the turtle shell was slowly dimming under the intensive attacks. Hulu said with a trembling voice, "Lord Phantom Princess, this Dharma treasure will not last long." As the turtle shell dimmed, Phantom Princess's face gradually turned pale. She still had a few powerful Dharma treasures. However, they could only last for a while. The attacks outside the formation would eventually land on them. Everyone would not be able to escape the fate of being destroyed in body and soul. At this moment, no one doubted Li Mu. It was obvious that the people outside wanted to kill them all, not leaving a single one alive. Which spy would die with them? Hu Jiu sat on the ground. She gritted her teeth and said, "If we can escape, I will definitely catch that damned spy. I will tear him into pieces and burn his bones to ashes." Hulu sat beside her dejectedly. She said, "Let's talk about it after we escape. What's the use of saying this now? I'm still a virgin. I haven't even tasted a man." Phantom Princess was silent. After the undercover incident last time, she had been more careful. Not many people knew about this, but even so, they had still been ambushed. The light on the turtle shell was very dim. Hu Jiu looked up. After a moment of silence, she slowly stood up and said, "If the 6 of us explode our demon souls and primordial spirits, even if we can't break the formation, we can weaken it to the greatest extent. It will be enough for Lord Phantom Princess to break the formation. As long as the formation is broken, Lord Phantom Princess will have hope of escaping." The demons did not speak. Their faces were filled with determination. Phantom Princess said firmly, "No." This was the only time Hu Jiu did not go along with Phantom Princess. She said firmly, "Lord Phantom Princess, we have no other choice. Only if you escape can you avenge us and save the people here. We still have a choice." A voice suddenly sounded. Everyone's eyes immediately looked behind Phantom Princess. Li Mu slowly said, "I just searched through the memories of the owner of this place and found that this formation has a weak point. If Lord Illusion Princess uses the same level of attack as before to attack the weak point, there might be a chance of breaking the formation." Hulu shook her head and said, "Even if we break the formation, there are so many strong enemies outside. We can't escape." Li Mu continued, "I learned a skill from the Heavenly Book. Later, other than Lord Phantom Princess, all of you, transfer your mana to me. I will use your mana to cast this skill. It should be able to stop them for a while. During this time, Lord Phantom Princess will be able to escape with you." Hu Jiu said in surprise, "Really? Li Mu nodded and said, "It's all thanks to Lord Phantom Princess that I learned the heavenly book 2 days ago. Otherwise, all of us would have died here today." Phantom Princess looked into Li Mu's eyes and asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Li Mu said embarrassedly, "I wanted to tell Lord Phantom Princess at the right time to give Lord Phantom Princess a surprise. I didn't expect to use it so soon." Hu Jiao seemed to have thought of something and asked, "Then what about you?" Li Mu patted her shoulder and said, "Don't worry. I also learned a blood escape skill from the heavenly book. This skill can increase my speed greatly. Those below the 6th level won't be able to catch up with me. After buying enough time for all of you, I will use the blood escape skill to escape. Although after using it, my vitality will be greatly damaged and my cultivation will regress, but at this critical moment, I can't care so much." Hu Lu looked at Li Mu and seemed to have understood something. Phantom Princess felt that something was wrong. She wanted to ask more, but Hu Lu looked at the dim turtle shell and said, "Lord Phantom Princess, there's no time. Prepare to attack the weak point of this formation. We will transfer our spiritual power to him." Outside the formation, the Duke of Jiujiang looked at the turtle shell that was about to disappear and urged, "Hurry up, this thing can't hold on for much longer." The cultivators were about to increase their attacks when a strong wave of spiritual power came from under the turtle shell. A long whip of spiritual power pierced through the turtle shell and hit a certain part of the formation. The Duke of Jiujiang smiled in disdain. "A trapped beast attack?" Then he opened his eyes slightly. He seemed to have seen something wrong. He saw a small shadow of a bell. Although it was just a flash, he did see it. Boom! After being hit by the long whip, the formation that had always been very stable let out a deafening boom. A gap actually appeared. Although the gap was quickly mended, there was still a ray of white light that flew out of the formation and into the distance. The Duke of Jiujiang's expression changed and he immediately said, "Chase after it." In fact, there was no need for him to give the order. The moment the white light flew out, the cultivators outside the formation had already chased after it. Bang! The cultivator who was flying at the front suddenly flew back. A figure suddenly appeared in front of him. That figure was only at the 4th level at first, but his aura began to climb at this moment. It climbed to the early stage, the middle stage, the late stage, until it reached the peak of the 4th level. At some point it reached the 5th level. However, this was not the end. In just a few breaths, his aura climbed to the peak of the 5th level. This scene scared all the cultivators present. They did not dare to act rashly. If this person took one more step, he would reach the 6th level and enter the ranks of the strongest cultivators on the continent. At that time, who would be able to stop him? Fortunately, his aura did not change after reaching the peak of the 5th level. Li Mu quietly put away the Dao Bell and secretly adjusted the position of the Fu Lu on his arm. The flaw in the formation was fake. In fact, when Phantom Princess attacked with her full strength, he made the Dao Bell become undetectable and lightly hit it. The Dao spell was also fake. The reason his aura climbed was because he used the Fu Lu. The blood escape was also fake. It was just an excuse he used to deceive Phantom Princess. Although he didn't expect this undercover incident, it was also an opportunity for him to escape. Seeing that the person's aura no longer climbed, the Duke of Jiujiang let out a sigh of relief. He pointed at the Creation Realm cultivators and said, "You guys, kill him. The rest of you, chase after him." As soon as he finished speaking, a few people rushed in the direction Phantom Princess disappeared. However, in the next moment, a figure blocked their path. He floated in the air and said in a low voice, "Those who cross this place will die." The Duke of Jiujiang was extremely angry. He shouted, "Kill him! Kill him now!" Countless figures swarmed forward. Behind them, under the night sky, Phantom Princess ignored the overdraft of her dermic powers and pushed her speed to the limit. Even though they were so far away, she could still feel the rapidly rising aura behind her. It seemed that the little snake did not lie to her. He really did comprehend a powerful Dao spell from the heavenly book. She continued to squeeze out her dermic powers and increased her speed. Hu Jiao and the others were already in the sky flask. She had to use her fastest speed to fly into the 100,000 mountains. Only then would she not let down the opportunity the little snake had risked his life to create for them. In the sky above the Wu Manor, Li Mu had killed countless people. He looked back in the direction Phantom Princess had disappeared and said softly, "Lord Phantom Princess, farewell forever." He slowly turned back. Suddenly, A strong white light emitted from his body. In the sky above the Wu Manor, the cultivators were scared out of their wits. Oh no, he's going to self-destruct. Retreat. Damn it, don't block me. A destructive wave of spiritual power swept out in all directions with that figure as the center. The Wu Manor had been razed to the ground. Everyone quickly scattered, but they were still affected and were sent flying. They all spat out blood, their auras weakened, and their divine souls dimmed. The Zhejiang commandery prince hid behind a few guards. He waited until the spiritual power wave of the self-destruction dissipated before he walked out. He looked up and saw that the white figure had already disappeared. He coughed a few times. His face was pale as he said angrily, "That lunatic." 100,000 mountains. In the Yao nation, Phantom Princess landed on a mountain. Her body swayed and she almost fell down. She held onto a tree and let Hu Jiao and the others out. Then, she threw a few spiritual jades to them and sat down cross-legged. She said, "Those people won't dare to chase us anymore. You guys hurry up and recover your dermic powers. We'll wait here for the little snake to come back." Hu Jiao looked like she had survived a disaster. She laughed and said, "I knew that the little snake is more reliable at times like this. Lord Phantom Princess, when he comes back, you must reward him." Hu Lu's expression was complicated. After a long time she raised her head and said, "I'm afraid that the little snake won't be able to come back." Hu Jiao glared at her and said unhappily, "Sister Lu, what are you saying? The little snake just saved all of us. How can you curse him like this?" "Hurry up and spit on him," Hu Lu said in a low voice. "Don't you understand? There's no blood escape. He can only use our dermic powers to temporarily increase his cultivation and self-destruct his divine soul to buy time for Lord Phantom Princess. The little snake won't be able to come back." Hu Jiao was stunned for a moment. Then she said angrily, "What are you talking about? That's impossible." As soon as she said that, a strong wave of spiritual power came from far away. Even if they were standing dozens of miles away, they could still faintly feel it. Plop! Hu Jiao's body went soft and she knelt on the ground. Crack! The spiritual jade in Phantom Princess's hand was crushed by her. Blood slowly flowed through the gaps between her fingers. Chapter 452. Zhejiang County. Qingjiang County. In a pharmacy in the county. The doctor stroked his long beard and withdrew his hand from a man's pulse. He asked, "When did this symptom appear?" The man said with a bitter face, Last night I was making love with my wife. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. It shook my house so much that it almost collapsed. At that time I was moaning. Then this morning I couldn't get up." The doctor nodded and comforted him. "It's okay. It's normal to have such symptoms when you're frightened. I'll give you a prescription. You'll be fine after taking it for a few days." The man said gratefully, "Thank you, doctor." "Thank you. It's my pleasure." The doctor raised his pen and said, "Just follow this prescription to get the medicine. 100-year-old ginseng, 1 deer antler, a pair of bear paws, and half a kilogram of caterpillar fungus. Take it for a few days and you'll be fine." After the man got the medicine and left, the shopkeeper of the pharmacy counted the silver and said, "I don't know what happened last night. I was sleeping soundly when there was a loud noise outside. I was so scared that I fell under the bed. I thought the earth dragon had turned over, but it just shook." On the street, the people were also discussing this matter. The loud noise last night had awakened all the people in the city. Even now, most of the people did not know what had happened. It was not until the Qingjiang County government posted a notice to calm the people that the people knew the ins and outs of the matter. The notice said that last night, a few demons attacked the Wu family estate outside the city and engaged in a great battle with the cultivators of the Wu family. The battle was extremely intense, razing the entire Wu family estate to the ground. The loud sound came from the battle. It's too scary. A battle actually caused such a big commotion. Fortunately, the battle didn't happen in the county. Otherwise we would also be affected. When will the imperial court completely destroy these damn demons? Chase them back into the mountains and never come out. In the crowd, a cultivator said with lingering fear, "What kind of bullshit battle is this? A battle of magical powers isn't that powerful. That's equivalent to the self-destruction of someone at the peak of the creation realm. Yesterday, I was just watching from afar, but I was injured by the shockwaves.
If I had been any closer, I might have died. The person beside him was pale and his aura was very weak.
He gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, I need at least half a year to recover from the injuries I suffered this time. That lunatic. His Royal Highness was angered by him last night." The cultivator said, "If it wasn't for that lunatic, His Royal Highness would have caught those demons. If the daughter of the Lord of Illusions was handed over to the imperial court, it would be a great merit." "Little snake." In the crowd, a handsome man's face was covered in tears. When tears fell from his cheeks, they dissipated into the void. Beside him, a beautiful woman also shed tears. She took a deep breath and said in a hoarse voice, "Let's go." Thousand Fox City. After Phantom Princess, Hu Jiao, and the others came back, they searched the entire Meizong sect, but they still didn't find any clues about the spy. That person was like a poisonous snake that chose people to devour. He hid in the dark, and no one knew when he would bite them again. Phantom Princess looked at Hu Jiao and Hu Lu and said, "From now on, the only people I can trust are you." Hu Jiao walked into a small courtyard. When she came out, she was holding several neatly folded clothes in her arms. She looked sad and said, "I want to build a tomb for Little Snake." Outside Thousand Fox City, a small mound was piled up on a beautiful hillside. Phantom Princess and Hu Lu stood in front of the mound silently. Hu Jiao put her hand on the tombstone in front of the mound and said seriously, "Little Snake, I will avenge you." Jiujiang Commandery Prince's Mansion. "Your Royal Highness, Lord Wu, Lord Mu, Mr. May's life talismans are all broken. Lord Chen's is also broken. It's the fox demon's revenge." Hearing the report, the Duke of Jiujiang's face became gloomier and gloomier. Foxes were indeed vengeful. Not long after they escaped, they launched a crazy revenge. He thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, "They asked for it. Inform the county government that demons from the demon nation want to kill me." The servant said, "Those demons are very powerful. I'm afraid the county government can't deal with them." The Duke of Jiujiang snorted and said, "They can't deal with them but someone can." In the Demon Emperor's cave, Li Mu lay on the grass with his hands behind his head. He held a blade of grass in his mouth and looked up at the sky. He had completed his mission to sneak into Thousand Fox Nation, and the show was over. Although he wasn't so obsessed that he couldn't get out, after lying here for 2 days, the figures of Phantom Princess, Hu Jiao, and the people from Meizong sect often appeared in his mind. Sure enough, he couldn't act for too long. Otherwise, it would be easy to distinguish between the scenes and the scenes. Li Mu stretched out his hand. There was a spiritual jade in his palm. In the center of the spiritual jade, there was a red mark in the shape of a blood drop. He left the spiritual jade in the Demon Emperor's space and disappeared on the spot. Jiujiang County. Somewhere in Qingjiang County. Li Mu's figure appeared out of thin air. He took out the spiritual conch and injected his magic power. The Empress' angry voice came from the spiritual conch. "Li Mu, if you don't let me speak this time, I'll teach you a lesson when you come back." Li Mu coughed and said, "Your Majesty, you can speak as much as you want this time. You can speak as long as you want." Opposite the spiritual conch, Zhou was stunned. Then he said, "Forget it. Your safety is more important. If you have something to say it quickly. If it takes too long, they might get suspicious." Li Mu said, "Your Majesty, don't worry. I've completed my mission. I can return to the divine capital in a few days." "You can return?" "Yes, I've already left Thousand Fox Nation." "Then don't leave in a few days. Leave now. Immediately. Immediately. I want to see you before tomorrow. Do you know how I've been through these months? I'm so annoyed by the reports every day." Li Mu listened to the Empress' complaints and said helplessly, "Your Majesty, I still have some things to do in Jiujiang County. After I'm done, I'll return as soon as possible." Zhou asked, "What's going on in Jiujiang County?" Li Mu said, "Jiujiang County King Xiaofan has a large number of retainers in his residence. He also recruited a large number of cultivators through some shady means. He allowed his subordinates to do harm in Jiujiang County. I'll return after I'm done with him." Zhou was a bit disappointed. He could only ask, "Can you do it alone?" Li Mu said, "I'm afraid not. I'll need the help of the Office of Worship." Zhou asked, "Is one high priest and 10 peak 5th realm high priests enough?" Li Mu thought for a moment and said, "Just the high priest is enough." There's no need for so many people.
Zhou Yi covered the conch and looked at Mr. Mei beside him.
He said, go and inform the office of worship. Ask the 2 high priests to go to Zhejiang County together. After they're done, bring Li Mu back to me. Mr. Mei soon arrived at the office of worship. He said to the 2 high priests, Her Majesty has decreed that the 2 high priests should go to Zhejiang County to help Lord Li deal with the Zhejiang County king. Then bring him back. If he doesn't come back, tie him up and bring him back. The 2 high priests cupped their hands together. Yes, Your Majesty. In Changle Palace, Zhou Yi looked at the conch and said, I heard that you massaged a fox's legs and shoulders in the Yao Kingdom. You even washed her feet?
As expected, this matter still reached the Empress' ears.
His great image in the Empress' mind had probably collapsed. Li Mu sighed and said, Your Majesty, please listen to my explanation. 2 hours later, Li Mu put down the conch. It had been a long time since he made conch with the Empress like this.
In the past 2 hours, he had finished reporting his work to the Empress in advance.
He didn't know why the Empress was so curious about these things. She asked him to tell her everything one by one. If it weren't for the officials who asked to see her, she might have asked Li Mu to talk for 2 more hours. Li Mu returned to Zhejiang County and prepared to wait for the 2 high priests. With their speed, they would be here by this time tomorrow. He had just turned a corner when he heard an incredulous voice from behind him. Little snake. Li Mu turned around subconsciously. When he saw Hu Jiu's face, he knew he was in trouble. Hu Jiu ran over excitedly and grabbed Li Mu's arm. She said in surprise, Little snake, it's really you. You didn't die. Hu Jiu wasn't the only one who was excited. Phantom Princess also had an indescribable look of surprise on her face. Only Hu Lu looked at him with surprise and doubt. Li Mu waved his hand to get rid of Hu Jiu. Hu Jiu was stunned and asked, Little snake, what's wrong with you? Don't you recognize me? Phantom Princess seemed to realize something. She looked at Li Mu and the light in her eyes quickly dimmed. At such a close distance, she didn't feel the existence of that drop of essence blood. The person in front of her wasn't Little Snake. Li Mu looked at Phantom Princess and smiled. Fox, we meet again. Little Snake wouldn't call Lord Phantom Princess that. Hu Jiu finally reacted. She took a few steps back and blurted out, You are Li Mu. The real Li Mu. Li Mu looked at Hu Jiu and finally looked at Phantom Princess.
He said, The great consecrator said that he saw another me in Thousand Fox Country.
I didn't believe it at first, but now it seems to be true. Phantom Princess, you are too much. You don't dare to fight with me on the surface, but you humiliate me behind my back. Phantom Princess looked haggard and didn't want to talk about that. She said coldly, What are you doing here? Li Mu glanced at her and said, This is Zhejiang County, one of the 36 counties in Great Zhou. I should be the one asking you this question. What are you doing here? Do you want to do something bad again? Seeing this familiar face, Hu Jiu was reminded of something sad. She gritted her teeth and said, What right do you have to say that we are going to do bad things? Do monsters have to do bad things? You humans have done more bad things than us. Li Mu was stunned. Then he said, Sorry, that's not what I meant. After all, we have been through life and death together. Don't quarrel as soon as you see me. What are you doing here? Hu Jiu wanted to take the opportunity to vent her anger. She didn't expect the human in front of her to be so polite and apologize to her. She was a little confused. Phantom Princess turned her head and said, It's none of your business. Li Mu said, Why are you like this? Is this how you heavenly foxes talk to your benefactor? Phantom Princess said calmly, Our grudges are even. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Li Mu patted his chest and sighed. Touch your conscience. What grudges do we have? You wanted to kill me in the beginning. Later I saved you and let bygones be bygones. Now you say that our grudges are even. Phantom Princess took a deep breath and asked, Then what do you want? Li Mu smiled and said, Tell me the cultivation method of the 5-tailed spirit fox. From now on, our grudges are even. We don't owe each other anything. Phantom Princess's heart skipped a beat. Although the Fox clan did not impart their cultivation techniques to outsiders, it was not absolute. Using a portion of their cultivation techniques in exchange for Li Mu's acknowledgement of ending their karma was a very good deal for her. She looked at Li Mu and reached out her hand. It's a deal.
Pa! Li Mu high-fived her and said, "It's a deal." Phantom Princess said, "Come closer."
Li Mu leaned over, and Phantom Princess whispered a few words in his ear. Li Mu naturally knew the cultivation method of the five-tailed spirit fox. He wanted to use this chance to eliminate Phantom Princess's inner demons and karma. This was what the little snake owed her. Although Phantom Princess hated him, she was sincere. The cultivation method she talked about was exactly the same as what Li Mu had comprehended from the heavenly book. However, he still looked at Phantom Princess suspiciously and asked, "You didn't just make it up to trick me, right?" Phantom Princess said coldly, "I swear on the heavenly fox. If I lie, let me die from the thunder tribulation." After that, she didn't look at Li Mu anymore. She said to Hu Lu and Hu Jiu, "Let's go." The local government had already noticed them. They also saw the military in the county city. If they continued to move, they might fall into the hands of the great Zhou military. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only return to Thousand Fox Country and plan for the long term. Wait. They had just taken 2 steps when Li Mu's voice came from behind them again.
Phantom Princess turned around and frowned. "What else do you want?"
Li Mu looked at Phantom Princess and said, "I came to Jiujiang County under the orders of my empress to investigate the second-rank king of Jiujiang. Someone reported that the second-rank king of Jiujiang allowed his subordinates to do some illegal things. However, I'm not familiar with this place. I know that the Meizong sect is more familiar with this place. How about this? You tell me some more clues about this case." Hu Jiu and Hu Lu looked at each other and saw joy in each other's eyes. Li Mu didn't keep his word. He just said that the grudge was written off, and now he mentioned it again. However, they were worried about how to avenge the little snake and how to save their compatriots imprisoned by the second-rank king of Jiujiang. They could use this person. Phantom Princess's eyes flashed. Then she said, "I can help you, but you have to promise me one thing."
Li Mu asked, "What is it?"
Phantom Princess said, "There are many demons imprisoned by the second-rank king of Jiujiang. If you punish the queen of Jiujiang, I will take these demons away." Li Mu smiled and said, "As long as you are willing to help me, that's easy." Chapter 453. Qingjiang County. In a pharmacy in the county. The doctor stroked his long beard and withdrew his hand from a man's pulse. He asked, "When did these symptoms appear?"
The man said with a bitter face, Last night I was making love with my wife."
Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. It shook my house so much that it almost collapsed. At that time I made love. Then this morning, I couldn't get up. The doctor nodded and then comforted him. "It's okay. It's normal to have such symptoms when you're frightened. I'll give you a prescription. You'll be fine after taking it for a few days." The man said gratefully, "Thank you, doctor." "Thank you. It's my pleasure." The doctor raised his pen and said, "Just follow this prescription to get the medicine. 100-year-old ginseng, 1 deer antler, a pair of bear paws, and a kilogram of caterpillar fungus. Take it for a few days and you'll be fine." After the man got the medicine and left, the shopkeeper of the pharmacy counted the silver and said, "I don't know what happened last night. I was sleeping soundly when there was a loud noise outside. I was so scared that I fell under the bed. I thought the earth dragon had turned over, but it was just a tremor." On the streets, the people were also discussing this matter. The loud noise last night had awakened all the people in the city. Even now, most of the people did not know what had happened. It was not until the Qingjiang County government posted a notice to calm the people that the people knew the ins and outs of the matter. The notice said that last night, a few demons attacked the Wu family estate outside the city and engaged in a great battle with the cultivators of the Wu family. The battle was extremely intense, raising the entire Wu family estate to the ground. The loud sound came from the battle. It's too scary. A battle actually caused such a big commotion. Fortunately, the battle did not happen in the county. Otherwise, we would also be in trouble. When will the imperial court completely destroy these damn demons? Chase them back into the mountains and never come out? In the crowd, a cultivator said with lingering fear, "What kind of bullshit-tea battle is this? A battle of magical powers isn't that powerful. That's equivalent to the self-destruction of someone at the peak of the creation realm. Yesterday, I was just watching from afar, but I was injured by the shockwaves.
If I had been any closer, I might have died." The person beside him was pale and his aura was very weak.
He gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, I need at least half a year to recover from the injuries I suffered this time. That lunatic. His Royal Highness was angered by him last night." The cultivator said, "If it wasn't for that lunatic, His Royal Highness would have caught those demons. If the daughter of the Lord of Illusions was handed over to the imperial court, it would be a great merit." "Little snake." In the crowd, a handsome man's face was covered in tears. When tears fell from his cheeks, they dissipated into the void. Beside him, a beautiful woman also shed tears. She took a deep breath and said in a hoarse voice, "Let's go." Thousand Fox City. After Phantom Princess, Hu Jiao, and the others returned, they searched the entire Meizong sect, but they still didn't find any clues about the spy. That person was like a poisonous snake that chose to devour people. He hid in the dark, and they didn't know when he would bite them again. Phantom Princess looked at Hu Jiao and Hu Lu and said, "From now on, you're the only people I can trust." Hu Jiao walked into a small courtyard. When he came out, he was holding several neatly folded clothes in his arms. He looked sad and said, "I want to build a tomb for Little Snake." Outside Thousand Fox City, a small mound was piled up on a beautiful hillside. Phantom Princess and Hu Lu stood in front of the mound silently. Hu Jiao put his hand on the tombstone in front of the mound and said seriously, "Little Snake, I'll definitely avenge you." Jiaojiang Commandery Prince's Mansion. "Your Royal Highness, Lord Wu, Lord Mu, Mr. May's life talisman is broken. Lord Chen's is also broken. It's the fox demon's revenge." Hearing the report, the Duke of Jiaojiang's face became gloomier and gloomier. Foxes were indeed vengeful. Not long after they escaped, they launched a crazy revenge. He thought for a moment and said in a low voice, "They asked for it. Inform the county government that a demon from the demon nation wants to kill me." The servant said, "Those demons are very powerful. I'm afraid the county government can't deal with them." The Duke of Jiaojiang snorted and said, "They can't deal with them but someone can." Demon King's Cave. Li Mu lay on the grass with his hands behind his head. He held a blade of grass in his mouth and looked up at the sky. He had completed his mission to sneak into Thousand Fox Nation, and the show was over. Although he wasn't so obsessed that he couldn't get out, after lying here for 2 days, the figures of Phantom Princess, Hu Jiao, and the people of Meizong sect often appeared in his mind. Sure enough, he couldn't act for too long. Otherwise, it would be easy to distinguish between the inside and outside of the show. Li Mu stretched out his hand. There was a spiritual jade in his palm. In the center of the spiritual jade, there was a red mark in the shape of a drop of blood. He left the spiritual jade in the Demon King's space and disappeared on the spot. Jiaojiang County. Somewhere in Qingjiang County. Li Mu's figure appeared out of thin air. He took out the spiritual conch and injected his magic power. The Empress' angry voice came from the spiritual conch. "Li Mu, if you don't let me speak this time, I'll teach you a lesson when you come back." Li Mu coughed and said, "Your Majesty, you can speak as much as you want this time. You can speak as long as you want." Opposite the spiritual conch, Zhou Yi was stunned. Then he said, "Forget it. Your safety is more important. If you have something to say it quickly. If it takes too long, they might get suspicious." Li Mu said, "Your Majesty, don't worry. I've completed my mission. I can return to the divine capital in a few days." "You can return?" "Yes, I've left Thousand Fox Nation." "Then don't wait. Leave now. Immediately. Immediately. I want to see you before tomorrow. Do you know how I've been through these months? I'm so annoyed by reading the reports every day." Li Mu listened to the Empress' complaints and said helplessly, "Your Majesty, I still have some things to do in Jiaojiang County. After I'm done, I'll return as soon as possible." Zhou Yi asked, "What's going on in Jiaojiang County?" Li Mu said, "Jiaojiang County King Xiaofan has a large number of followers in his residence. He also recruited a large number of cultivators through some shady means. He allowed his subordinates to do harm in Jiaojiang County. I'll return after I'm done with him." Zhou Yi was a bit disappointed. He could only ask, "Can you do it alone?" Li Mu said, "I'm afraid not. I need the help of the Office of Worship." Zhou Qiong asked, "Is 1 high consecrator and 10 peak level 5th realm consecrators enough?" Li Mu thought for a moment and said, "Just the high priest is enough. There's no need for so many people." Zhou Yi covered the conch and looked at Mr. May beside him. He said, "Go and inform the office of worship. Ask the 2 high priests to go to Zhejiang County together. After they're done, bring Li Mu back to me." Mr. May soon arrived at the office of worship. He said to the 2 high priests, "Her Majesty has decreed that the 2 high priests should go to Zhejiang County to help Lord Li deal with the Zhejiang County king. Then bring him back. If he doesn't come back, tie him up and bring him back." The 2 high priests cupped their hands at the same time. "Yes, Your Majesty." In Changle Palace, Zhou looked at the conch and said, "I heard that you massaged a fox's legs and shoulders in the Yao Kingdom. You even washed her feet?" As expected, this matter still reached the ears of the Empress. His great image in the Empress' mind had probably collapsed. Li Mu sighed and said, "Your Majesty, please listen to my explanation." 2 hours later, Li Mu put down the conch. It had been a long time since he made conch with the Empress like this. In the past 2 hours, he had finished reporting his work to the Empress in advance. He didn't know why the Empress was so curious about these things. She asked him to tell her everything one by one. If it weren't for the officials who asked to see her, she might have asked Li Mu to talk for 2 hours. Li Mu returned to Zhejiang County and prepared to wait for the 2 high priests. With their speed, they would be here by this time tomorrow. He had just turned a corner when he heard an incredulous voice from behind him. "Little snake." Li Mu turned around subconsciously. When he saw Hu Jiu's face, he knew he was in trouble. Hu Jiu ran over excitedly and grabbed Li Mu's arm. She said in surprise, "Little snake, it's really you. You didn't die." Hu Jiu wasn't the only one who was excited. Phantom Princess also had an indescribable look of surprise on her face. Only Hu Lu looked at him with surprise and doubt. Li Mu waved his hand to shake off Hu Jiu. Hu Jiu was stunned and asked, "Little snake, what's wrong? Don't you recognize me?" Phantom Princess seemed to realize something. She looked at Li Mu and the light in her eyes quickly dimmed. At such a close distance, she didn't feel the existence of that drop of essence blood. The person in front of her wasn't Little Snake. Li Mu looked at Phantom Princess and smiled. "Fox, we meet again." Little Snake wouldn't call Lord Phantom Princess that. Hu Jiu finally reacted. She took a few steps back and blurted out, "You're Li Mu. The real Li Mu." Li Mu looked at Hu Jiu and finally looked at Phantom Princess. He said, "The great consecrator said that he saw another me in Thousand Fox Country. I didn't believe it at first, but now it seems to be true. Phantom Princess, you've gone too far. You don't dare to fight with me on the surface, but you humiliate me behind my back." Phantom Princess looked haggard and didn't want to talk about that. She said coldly, "What are you doing here?" Li Mu glanced at her and said, "This is Zhejiang County, one of the 36 counties in Great Zhou. I should be the one asking you this question. What are you doing here? Do you want to do something bad again?" Seeing this familiar face, Hu Jiu was reminded of something sad. She gritted her teeth and said, "Why do you say we're doing bad things? Do monsters have to do bad things? You humans have done more bad things than us." Li Mu was stunned for a moment. Then he said, "Sorry, that's not what I meant. We've been through life and death together. Don't quarrel as soon as you see me. What are you doing here?" Hu Jiu wanted to take the opportunity to vent her anger. She didn't expect the human in front of her to be so polite and apologize to her. She didn't know what to do. Phantom Princess turned her head and said, "It's none of your business." Li Mu said, "Why are you like this? Is this how you heavenly foxes talk to your benefactor?" Phantom Princess said calmly, "Our grudges are even. From now on, we don't owe each other anything." Li Mu patted his chest and sighed. "Touch your conscience. What grudges do we have? You wanted to kill me in the beginning. Later I saved you and let bygones be bygones. Now you say that our grudges are even." Phantom Princess took a deep breath and asked, "Then what do you want?" Li Mu smiled and said, "Tell me the cultivation method of the 5-tailed fox spirit. From now on, our grudges are even. We don't owe each other anything." Phantom Princess's heart skipped a beat. Although the Fox clan did not impart their cultivation techniques to outsiders, it was not absolute. Using a portion of their cultivation techniques in exchange for Li Mu's acknowledgement of ending their karma was a very good deal for her. She looked at Li Mu and reached out her hand. "It's a deal." "Pah!" Li Mu high-fived her and said, "It's a deal." Phantom Princess said, "Come closer." Li Mu leaned over, and Phantom Princess whispered a few words in his ear. Li Mu naturally knew the cultivation method of the five-tailed fox race. He wanted to use this chance to eliminate Phantom Princess's inner demons and karma. This was the little snake's debt to her. Although Phantom Princess hated him, she was sincere. The cultivation method she talked about was exactly the same as what Li Mu had comprehended from the heavenly book. However, he still looked at Phantom Princess suspiciously and asked, "You didn't just make it up to trick me, right?" Phantom Princess said coldly, "I swear on the heavenly fox race. If I lie, let me die from the thunder tribulation." After that, she didn't look at Li Mu anymore. She said to Hu Lu and Hu Jiu, "Let's go." The local government had already noticed them. They also saw the military in the county. If they continued to move, they might fall into the hands of the Great Zhou's military. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only return to Thousand Fox Country and plan for the long term. Wait. They had just taken 2 steps when Li Mu's voice came from behind them again. Phantom Princess turned around and frowned. "What else do you want?" Li Mu looked at Phantom Princess and said, "I came to Jiujiang County under the orders of my empress to investigate the Duke of Jiujiang. Someone reported that the Duke of Jiujiang allowed his subordinates to do some illegal things. However, I'm not familiar with this place. I know that the Meizong sect is more familiar with this place. How about this? You tell me some more clues about this case. Then we won't owe each other anything." Hu Jiu and Hu Lu looked at each other and saw joy in each other's eyes. Li Mu didn't keep his word. He just said that the grudge would be written off. Now he mentioned it again. However, they were still worried about how to avenge the little snake and how to save their compatriots imprisoned by the Duke of Jiujiang. They could use this person. Phantom Princess's eyes flashed. Then she said, "I can help you, but you have to promise me one thing." Li Mu asked, "What is it?" Phantom Princess said, "The Duke of Jiujiang has imprisoned many demons. You have dealt with the Queen of Jiujiang. I want to take these demons away." Li Mu smiled and said, "As long as you're willing to help me, that's easy." Chapter 454. Duke Manor. The Duke of Jiujiang, Xiaofan, was setting up a banquet. He raised his cup to a tall man in golden armor and said, "Here's a toast to General Lu." The man in golden armor said emotionlessly, "Drinking is forbidden in the Northern Army." The Duke of Jiujiang smiled and said, "This is not the army." The man in golden armor said, "The people are not here, but the military rules are." The Duke of Jiujiang said apologetically, "I didn't know the rules. General Lu, please don't blame me. Men, bring me my precious tea." Very soon, the servants of the regional king's mansion had finished brewing tea and respectfully served it to the golden-armored man. The golden-armored man took a sip of tea and asked, "Does the regional king have any enmity with that fox demon?" The Duke of Jiujiang shook his head and said, "No grudges." "That's strange." The man in golden armor looked at him and said, "If you don't have any grudges, why do they have to find you? The fox demons value grudges very much. If you don't have any grudges with them, how can there be consequences?" The Commandery Prince of Jiujiang narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "General Lu, you are wrong. The demonic beasts are our enemies. They want to kill me. Should General Lu ask them why? Let's catch the demonic beasts that are disturbing our county and bring peace back to this place. Isn't that what the government and the Northern Army should do?" The man in golden armor blew on the tea and didn't refute the Duke of Jiujiang. The second-rank prince of Jiujiang was right. His duty was to guard the bordering counties, stop the demons from causing trouble, and protect the people of the Jiujiang county. No matter what the second-rank prince of Jiujiang did, no matter what those demons were hiding, he had to catch those demons and protect the second-rank prince of Jiujiang. After all, he was the general of the Great Zhou. After a short period of silence, the Duke of Jiujiang said in a regretful tone, "Those 3 fox demons have disappeared for 2 days. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have ordered the county government to hunt them down. I don't know where they are hiding. If they ran back to the Demon Kingdom, wouldn't General Lu's trip be in vain?" The man in golden armor put down his cup and said, "It's not in vain. They're here." As soon as he said that, 2 loud noises came from outside. "What's that sound?" The second-rank prince of Jiujiang stood up and frowned. Just as he was about to ask his servant, another deep voice resounded through the entire Jiujiang Commandery Prince's mansion. "Xiao Hang, Commandery Prince of Jiujiang, get out here." The voice rolled over. The Duke of Zhejiang was stunned for a moment, and then extreme anger appeared on his face. In Zhejiang County, there was actually someone who dared to call him by his name and tell him to get out of the county king's mansion? His face was gloomy as he strode outside. At the same time, at the entrance of the county king's manor, Li Mu looked at the array that enveloped the entire county king's manor after he destroyed the main door. He turned to look at the two head reverends. Without any exchange of words, one of the high consecrators raised his palm and pressed it down. Pop, after a sound similar to a bubble bursting, the entire formation silently disappeared. When Li Mu walked into the county king's manor, there were already several figures rushing toward him. They were all the county king's retainers.
Stop!
Who are you?
How dare you barge into the regional prince's mansion?
You're courting death.
The three people at the front were all at the 5th level of cultivation.
Facing the group of people who barged into the county king's manor, they did not hesitate to attack. 3 invisible supernatural power attacks came straight at them. A majestic aura gushed out of Li Mu's body and swept forward. The 3 people's attacks disappeared into thin air, and they were forced back a few steps. Behind Li Mu, Hu Jiu could not help but exclaim, "So powerful!" Huan Ji's gaze was complicated. She rarely had a match among her peers until she met Li Mu, the man who would crush her confidence every time. He made her understand that there was always someone better than her. The 3 Zhejiang commandery princes' manor powerhouses looked at the young man in front of them with fearful eyes. This person's strength was beyond their imagination. Then, they saw a few familiar figures behind the young man, and they could not help but exclaim in surprise. Lord County Governor. The County Governor and County Lieutenant are also here. Who is he?
What is he doing here? The County King's Manor's retainers were often active in Zhejiang County, so they naturally knew the officers in charge of the county yamen.
These people represented the imperial court. Ever since the divine capital's Xiao royal family suffered great losses, even the county king was much more polite to them than before. But now, they were standing respectfully behind this young man. It seemed like they did not come with good intentions.
The 3 of them were fearful and did not dare to do anything for a while.
At that moment, Zhejiang Commandery Prince Xiaofan had already walked out. Who are you?
How dare you be so presumptuous here?
Xiaofan walked out with a gloomy face. His voice was heard before he even arrived. However, when he saw the figure at the door, his expression changed drastically. Although it was his first time seeing Li Mu, the divine capital's imperial family had sent him a portrait long ago. It said that this person was the empress' favorite official and had great power in the imperial court. Both the new and old parties had been suppressed by him to the extreme. His cousin, the county governor of Nanyang, had died at the hands of Li Mu. It was because of this person that the old party had lost most of their control over the imperial court in a year. The imperial family warned him that if he met this person, he should avoid him if possible. If he could not avoid him, he should try his best not to provoke him. Xiaofan did not take this to heart. After all, he was far away in Zhejiang County, which was thousands of miles away from the divine capital. No matter how long Li Mu's hands were, they could not reach him. He did not expect this person to come to his residence today. Although he was furious, Xiaofan still put on a warm smile on his face. He said, "I've heard a lot about Lord Li. I've wanted to make friends with you for a long time, but I never had the chance." Seeing that the county governor of Zhejiang was taking the initiative to be friendly, Hu Jiu and Huan Ji's expressions changed slightly. If Li Mu sided with the county governor of Zhejiang now, they would have nowhere to run. If Li Mu was in cahoots with the county governor of Zhejiang and this was actually a trap for them. At this moment, Phantom Princess's mind was in a mess. She should not have trusted Li Mu so easily. She should not have put herself in danger. She should not have. Until Li Mu snorted and said to the county governor of Zhejiang, "Don't try to get close to me. Do I know you? Xiaofan, you've committed a crime. I'm here today on the orders of the imperial court to bring you to justice." Xiaofang's eyelids twitched, but he still pretended to be calm. He said, "Lord Li, I'm afraid you're mistaken. I've always been a law-abiding person. Why would the imperial court want to arrest me?" Li Mu said indifferently, "You're heartless. You ordered your retainers to kidnap women for your sexual pleasure. How many innocent women have been harmed? Even if you're a noble, I'll still get rid of this evil for the people." Xiaofan could already tell that Li Mu did not come with good intentions. Today's matter would not be settled peacefully. His expression changed drastically.
He pointed at Phantom Princess and the other two behind Li Mu and said loudly, "Do you see that? The 3 demons behind him are the 3 demons wanted by the imperial court.
This person is in cahoots with the demons. County Governor of Zhejiang, you're helping the demons. Why aren't you taking him down?" The county governor of Zhejiang was unmoved. They had already verified Li Mu's identity.
The 2 elders beside him were also the most powerful cultivators of the imperial court.
Who would believe that the imperial court did not order the 2 high priests to accompany him?
Even if it was not, he had 2 sixth realm cultivators with him.
Who would dare to go against him? It did not matter if he was sent by the imperial court or not. The result was the same. The local government could not get involved, and they could not afford to. Seeing that the county governor of Zhejiang and the others did not move, the county governor of Zhejiang ordered his retainers, "Why aren't you killing this traitor who colluded with the demons?" The retainers of the county governor's residence received the order. Some started to form hand seals while others activated their Dharma treasures. Li Mu raised his hand. A golden light flew out from his hand and turned into a golden rope. It quickly passed through the crowd of retainers. They felt their waists tighten. Then, the golden rope tied them together. Seeing this, the county governor of Zhejiang's face paled.
Without hesitation, he ran to the main hall behind him and shouted, "General Lu, save me!"
The man in golden armor suddenly appeared beside him. The county governor of Zhejiang finally saw his savior.
He hid behind the man in golden armor and said, "General Lu, save me.
This group of traitors wants to rebel against their superiors."
Looking at the man in golden armor, Li Mu did not make a move.
Li Mu could not see through this person's cultivation at all. This meant that this person's cultivation had surpassed the 5th realm. Judging from his clothes, he should be a powerful cultivator in the army. Other than the Imperial Guards, the Great Zhou's borders near the Ghost Realm, the Yao Nation, and the southern kingdoms were all heavily guarded. They were in charge of monitoring foreign enemies and protecting the local people. Li Mu took out his waist token and showed it to the man in golden armor.
He said, "Li Mu, a member of the Imperial Secretariat, the Deputy Commander of the Empress Bamboo Guards, and the Commander of the Consecration Department.
I have come under the orders of Her Majesty to capture the County Governor of Zhejiang, Xiaofan. General, please step aside." The County Governor of Zhejiang shouted, "General Lu, don't listen to him. Look at the 3 demons beside him. He colluded with demons and brought chaos to this place. His crime is punishable by death." The man in golden armor pondered for a moment. He looked at Li Mu and asked, "Do you have an imperial edict?" Li Mu said, "No, this is an imperial edict from Her Majesty."
The man in golden armor said, "He is a noble.
Without an imperial edict, I cannot let you take him away. Lord Li, you can go back to the fairy's capital and ask for an imperial edict. I only accept imperial edicts."
Li Mu did not make things difficult for the man in golden armor.
From the process, what he did was correct. If a person could take a county governor away with just a few words, it meant that there was a loophole in the laws of the Great Zhou. However, he was too lazy to go back to the fairy's capital. He took out the spirit conch and whispered a few words to it.
Then, he handed it to the general in golden armor and said, "General, since you don't believe me, I will let Her Majesty talk to you personally." The general in golden armor took the spirit conch and put it to his ear. Hearing the voice from the spirit conch, he was stunned for a moment. Then, his expression immediately became serious.
He said solemnly, Yes, okay. I will help Lord Li deal with this matter.
I will take my leave." He slowly took the spirit conch from his ear and handed it to Li Mu with both hands. He said, "Lord Li, take care of this treasure.
Her Majesty has ordered me to help you deal with the case of the county governor of Zhejiang." The county governor of Zhejiang panicked when his only reinforcements betrayed him.
He grabbed the general in golden armor's arm and said in a trembling voice, "It's fake.
It's all fake. General Lu, please don't believe me. Please don't believe me."
Even though they were far apart, the general in golden armor could feel how powerful the person on the other side of the spirit conch was. The general in golden armor slowly backed away and said, "If you are innocent, you can report this to Lord Li.
I believe that the imperial court will give you justice. You can rest assured that even if Lord Li does not have enough evidence, I will protect you." Rest assured? Rest assured my ass. The county governor of Zhejiang was in despair. He knew what he had done. If this happened a year ago, he would not be afraid. Even if the matter was exposed, there were countless people in the fairy's capital who would protect him. However, it was different now. The county governor of Nanyang, his cousin, had committed far fewer crimes than him. In the end, he was beheaded and his body and soul were destroyed.
Once the matter of the county governor's mansion was exposed, his life would be over.
The county governor of Zhejiang did not hesitate to crush a jade talisman in his hand. His body instantly disappeared from the spot. At the same time, the space outside the county governor's mansion was distorted. He staggered and fell out.
He took out a flying boat and was about to escape when he suddenly noticed that the old man who had been standing behind Li Mu in the county governor's mansion was standing at the bow of the boat. He looked at the county governor with a smile and asked, "Where are you going?"
In his panic, the county governor of Zhejiang did not even care about the flying boat. He crushed another jade talisman. The next time he appeared, he was dozens of miles away.
However, not far ahead, there was a figure waiting for him.
It was a man who looked exactly like the old man. He looked at the county governor of Zhejiang indifferently and said, "Don't waste your energy. If I let you escape today, how can I stay in the imperial court in the future?" The county governor of Zhejiang tried to escape, but he was caught by the two great reverends. This time, even the general in golden armor did not bother to pay attention to him. The county governor of Zhejiang refused to admit to his crimes. Due to his status, Li Mu could not take any forceful measures against him before the evidence was conclusive. However, it was different for his retainers. The two great reverends had already gone to arrest him. The results would be out very soon. In this period of time, Li Mu and the general in golden armor had chatted for a while, and they had become familiar with each other. He also learned that this was one of the four great generals of the Great Zhou's northern army. He came from White Deer Academy. Apart from the imperial army, the Great Zhou also had the four armies of the north, south, east, and west. Of these, the northern army was the strongest. The four great generals that guarded this place were all 6th-level cultivators. This was because compared to the three armies, the county governor of Zhejiang guarded by the northern army was more dangerous. The Yao kingdom had always been eyeing the Great Zhou covetously. The threat it posed was even greater than that of the Ghost Realm and the southern kingdoms. The general in golden armor smiled and said, "My elder brother once said that this year's martial scholar was skilled in martial arts. At the same level of cultivation, even the bravest and most skilled soldier of the northern army might not be able to defeat you. Seeing you today, I know that his words were not exaggerated." Li Mu asked, "Who is your esteemed elder brother?"
The general in golden armor said, "My elder brother was the assistant minister of the Ministry of War, a family with two fierce generals, and the assistant minister of the Ministry of War had even taught him how to use telekinesis to gather force." Li Mu immediately felt deep veneration. He cupped his hands and said, my apologies, my apologies." After exchanging a few pleasantries, Li Mu thought of something and asked, "I have a matter that I would like to ask General Liu about." The general in golden armor smiled and said, "Lord Li, there is no harm in asking." Li Mu asked, "The former assistant minister of the Ministry of Justice, Zhou Zhong, was once sentenced to exile because of a case. What is his current situation?" The general in golden armor shook his head and said, "He was once sent to the Northern Army, but not long after, he disappeared." Li Mu said, "Disappeared?" The general in golden armor nodded and said, "He is very strong. In just 2 months, he made a lot of military contributions. I originally wanted to promote him to deputy general, but 3 months ago, after he destroyed a small Yao kingdom by himself, he completely disappeared and has not been seen since." Li Mu was not worried about Zhou Zhong's disappearance. Until now, he still did not know how much strength Zhou Zhong had hidden. A person like him was strong and could endure. Everything he did was probably calculated by him, so there was no need for others to worry about him. Li Mu and General Liu did not chat for long before the two great reverends came back. Huan Ji and Hu Jiu were very familiar with the Zhejiang commandery prince and his subordinates. They were the ones who suggested who to arrest first and who to arrest later. Of the 10 great heretical cultivation masters, 4 were already dead. Of the remaining 6, none of them managed to escape. Under the methods of the two great reverends, they confessed to their crimes. The Zhejiang commandery prince was the instigator. According to the laws of the Great Zhou, his head should be chopped off 100 times. The general in golden armor said, I did not expect such a thing to happen in Zhejiang Commandery, Huan Ji said coldly. You all say that we Yao clan are causing trouble for the people of Zhejiang Commandery, but the truth is that we Yao clan are being persecuted by you humans in Zhejiang Commandery. Don't you feel ashamed to say that you want to kill Yao clan? This time, less than 10% of the victims rescued by the government were humans. More than 90% were Yao clan. The general in golden armor and the officials of Zhejiang Commandery could not answer Huan Ji. The laws of the Great Zhou protected the people of the Great Zhou, not the Yao clan. Although this was the truth, they had a balance in their hearts. What maintained this balance was their conscience as living beings. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. Li Mu said, That's enough. You cannot represent all Yao clan, and the Zhejiang Commandery prince cannot represent all humans.
Your view is too extreme.
There are many Yao clan that harm people. Isn't the Imperial Court's investigation of the Zhejiang Commandery prince a representation of our attitude?
Huan Ji did not argue with Li Mu.
She said, I want to see the Zhejiang Commandery prince. The general in golden armor said firmly, Impossible. Although the Zhejiang Commandery prince was a criminal, he was still a noble.
Who knew what this fox demon would do after seeing him? Naturally, he could not let this demon see him.
Li Mu glanced at the golden armored general and said in a low voice, General Liu, you've seen the miserable state of those demons, haven't you?
You also have a wife and a daughter. Think about it. The Commandery Prince of Zhejiang is a scumbag.
He has destroyed so many of those demons. If we don't let them spit and slap them in front of him, we will be too inhumane. The general in golden armor thought of the hellish scene in the human world. A ball of anger rose in his heart. He closed his eyes and said, Lord Li is the imperial envoy.
Everything is up to you.
Li Mu brought Huan Ji to the door of the prison. He said softly, I only have one request.
Don't kill them. Otherwise, I will not be able to explain myself.
Huan Ji nodded and said, I know what to do.
She, Hu 6, and Hu 9 entered the prison. After 15 minutes, they came out.
Li Mu asked, What did you find out? Huan Ji shook her head and said, Nothing.
But someone did tell him.
Hu Jiu punched the wall heavily. She gritted her teeth and said, It's that person.
It's that person who killed Little Snake. Don't let me know who he is. Otherwise, I will smash his ass and cut him into pieces.
Li Mu patted her shoulder and comforted her. The dead can't come back to life.
My condolences.
Hu Jiu suddenly looked up at Li Mu and said, Most humans are hypocritical and shameless. They are greedy and cruel.
You are a good person. Why don't you join the Meizong sect?
With your ability, you will have a high position in the Meizong sect. Li Mu said, I also have a high position in the Great Zhou court. Hu Jiu continued to tempt him. The beauties of the Thousand Fox country are unparalleled.
You can marry many. Think about it.
Aren't the beauties of the Fox clan beautiful?
Aren't the beauties of the Snake clan clingy?
There are also the beauties of the Cat clan, the Rabbit clan, the Dog clan. Stop, stop, stop. Li Mu looked at Hu Jiu and asked, Do you think I am that kind of lecherous person?
Hu Jiu asked back, Aren't you?
Li Mu coughed softly and said, What I mean is, although I am lustful, I don't want everything.
I am loyal to the Empress.
I am the Empress's man when I am alive, and the Empress's ghost when I die.
You should give up.
Hu Jiu thought for a moment and said, You don't like other people, but do you not like Master Phantom Princess? Do you dare to say that you don't like Master Phantom Princess? If you don't like Master Phantom Princess, why are you so nice to us? Phantom Princess's face darkened.
Hu Jiu.
Li Mu thought that he was very careful in front of Phantom Princess and Hu Jiu. He would never let them think that he was Little Snake. But he still neglected a very important point. In order to make up for deceiving Phantom Princess and Hu Jiu, Li Mu had been very nice to them these 2 days. Although he often dissed Phantom Princess, he actually indulged her and took care of her to the extreme. He even made an exception to meet her unreasonable requests. As for the real Li Mu, the moment he met Phantom Concubine, he would fight to the death. In comparison, the change in his personality was especially obvious. He had avoided all the small openings, but revealed the biggest one.
Hu Jiu's question went straight to the point.
Phantom Princess didn't realize that when she went back,
She might have some associations that Li Mu didn't want her to have. When Li Mu pretended to be Little Snake, he was ravaged by Phantom Princess every day. He massaged her legs, shoulders, and feet. If Phantom Princess knew that Li Mu was Little Snake, Li Mu would have no face in front of her in the future. He absolutely couldn't allow such a thing to happen. There must be a way to explain it, there must be a way to explain it. Li Mu looked at Hu Jiao, and an idea flashed in his mind. He simply admitted, "Yes, that's right. I like Phantom Princess, but you found out." Hu Jiao was stunned, and Phantom Princess was even more stunned. Li Mu's expression became even more indifferent. He said, "You also know that I'm very lecherous. I can't wait to have all the beauties in the world. How can I let go of such a beautiful little fox? I originally wanted to take this opportunity to do you a favor. At that time, Phantom Princess will owe me a big favor. Besides marrying me, what can she use to repay me?" Hu Jiao was stunned. Didn't you say that you want us to help you find evidence of Zheojiang Commandery Prince's crime?" Li Mu snorted and said, "I'm afraid you've forgotten who I am. I want a little Zheojiang Commandery Prince to die. What evidence do I need to find?" Hu Jiao's throat moved, and she swallowed a mouthful of saliva. With Li Mu's power, it didn't seem to be so troublesome to kill Zheojiang Commandery Prince. After Phantom Princess came to her senses, she looked at Li Mu and gritted her teeth. "Don't even think about it." On the other hand, Hu Lu pulled down her collar and winked at Li Mu. She said, "Lord Li, as long as you're willing to come to Meizong's sect, I'm also willing to marry you." Li Mu shook his head and said flatly, "You're too old. I don't want." After a short silence, Sister Lu, forget it. You can't beat him." Hu Jiao stopped the furious Hu Lu. She looked up at Li Mu and asked, "You don't like Sister Lu? What do you think of me?" There was another short silence. Li Mu gritted his teeth and said, "Phantom Princess, Hu Lu, don't stop me." Hu Jiao dodged the lightning and said, "Life is short. Why not try? How will you know if you don't try?" Chapter 455. In the eyes of Illusion Princess and Hu Jiao, Li Mu was just a lecher. He might as well admit it so that his image would not collapse. After striking Hu Jiao a few times, Li Mu said to Illusion Princess, "You can choose not to admit it, as long as you feel good about it." Illusion Princess snorted and said, "I'm not that stupid fox in your house. I'll repay what I owe you in the future. You want me to repay you with my body? Dream on." Li Mu shrugged and didn't want to argue with her anymore. As long as she did not think that Li Mu was Little Snake, nothing else mattered. He walked into the prison and saw that the Zheojiang Commandery Prince was still alive. It would not affect his return to the fairies' capital. There were many human women imprisoned by the Zheojiang Commandery Prince and his followers. Li Mu had already ordered the local government to contact their families. Illusion Princess, Hu Jiao, and Hu Jiao were healing some demons. Many female demons were used as cultivation furnaces. They were recklessly harvested and damaged their foundation. Li Mu wanted to help, but these demons were very resistant to humans. He could only watch from the side. The matter of the Zheojiang Commandery Prince was over. General Lu also left the city and returned to the army. The Zheojiang Commandery Prince walked to Li Mu and said, "Lord Li, we've contacted most of the victims' families. Some of them did not have families and refused the government's arrangements. They wanted to follow the fox demon." Li Mu sighed and said, "Let them make their own decisions." After going through such a thing, it was hard for them to have any good feelings towards the government. They had not gone through their sufferings and had no right to interfere with their decisions. The Zheojiang Commandery Prince's mansion was temporarily used to house the victims. Illusion Princess was healing them, but her mana was limited. Soon, she overdrew her mana and was forcefully helped by Hu Lu to a room to rest. When Li Mu walked into the room, she was lying on the table and sleeping soundly. She was holding 2 spiritual jades in her hand to recover her mana. Li Mu let out a sigh of relief. Now, this matter was finally over. From then on, there was no more Little Snake Wu Yanzu. There was only the great Zhou's Li Mu. He turned around and left. When he reached the door, the sleeping Phantom Princess murmured, "Little Snake, don't go. Help me rub my shoulders. I'm so tired." Li Mu paused for a moment. After a long silence, he sighed. When Huan Ji woke up, her eyes were a little dazed. In her dream, she vaguely felt a pair of hands gently kneading her shoulders. It was very comfortable. When she woke up, there was nothing behind her. This made her suspect that it was an illusion. Hulu walked in from outside and said, "Master Illusion Princess, you're awake?" Illusion Princess asked, "Who just came in?" Hulu snorted and said, "That blind man." Illusion Princess knew that she was talking about Li Mu. She then realized that this pervert didn't take advantage of her while she was sleeping, right? She didn't know if he had touched any other places besides her shoulders. Fantasy Princess lowered her head to look at her chest and then turned back to look at her round and perky breasts. She couldn't remember if anyone had touched her there before. She stood up and asked angrily, "Where is he?" Hulu said, "He left." Illusion Princess was stunned and asked, "Where did he go?" "He should have returned to the great Zhou's Shendu." Hulu's expression was a little complicated. When he left, he said that the Zhejiang County King's matter was the Imperial Court's fault. "So Master Illusion Princess doesn't owe him anything and doesn't need to repay him with your body?" Illusion Princess snorted and said, "In his dreams." "Who said I was going to repay him with my body?" Hulu said. Also before he left, he asked the Zhejiang County King's officials to escort us back. "This is the first time I've seen a human like this. Is he doing all this just because he wants Master Illusion Princess's body?" Illusion Princess didn't want to think about this and said, "Let Hu Jiu prepare. Let's go back. I don't want to stay here for another minute." After leaving Zhejiang County, Li Mu buried everything that happened in the past few months in his heart. He didn't want to mention it to anyone. He wanted to return to Mount Baiyun and tell Xiao by the cultivation method of the fox race. Then, he wanted to spend some time with Lu Hanyan and Li Qing. He hoped that they weren't in seclusion. Just as he rose into the air, two figures blocked his path. Li Mu glanced at the two high priests and asked, "What are you doing?" One high priest said, "Her Majesty ordered that Master Li must return to the Shen, do immediately after dealing with Zhejiang County King's matter." Li Mu waved his hand and said, "You guys go back first. I'll be back soon. I need to go back to Mount Baiyun first." The two high priests didn't move. Li Mu frowned and said, "What is the meaning of this?" The other high priest said, "We can't go against Her Majesty's orders. Master Li, please excuse us." "What are you doing? Are you rebelling? Don't come over. Do you still want your heavenly secret talisman? At least let me pick someone up." Li Mu tried his best to persuade the two old men to let him go back to Mount Baiyun to pick up Wan Wan and Xiao Bai. As for the idea of spending some time with Lu Hanyan and Li Qing, it was ruined. However, the two of them were in seclusion, so Li Mu didn't feel that it was a pity. The two girls' current cultivation bases weren't achieved step by step. As the core disciples of Fu Lu School and the future head of the school, they had a lot of homework to catch up on in the next few years. Poor Li Mu was no longer a single dog, but he was still living the life of a single dog. Fortunately, he had a strong will. Normal men wouldn't be able to resist the temptation of cat girls, rabbit girls, beautiful fox demons, and clingy snake girls. They would have been persuaded by Hu Jiu to betray him. In a sense, Li Mu and the Empress were both pitiful people. One of them had a husband who died a long time ago, while the other was separated from his wife. If it weren't for their status and self-control, who knew what kind of sparks would fly between them after spending so much time together? Xiao Bai had already started cultivating according to the new method. On the flying boat to the divine capital, Li Mu looked at Wan Wan and Xiao Bai, who was laughing and playing with each other. He couldn't help but think of Phantom Princess and the days when he was undercover in Thousand Fox Nation. There were no conspiracies, no schemes, and no schemes. Those were the days he missed. Thousand Fox Nation. Phantom Princess spent a few days settling down the demons and human female cultivators she rescued from Zhejiang County. Then, she dragged her exhausted body back to her residence. Her magic power and body were overused. Even with her cultivation base, she felt physically and mentally exhausted at this moment. It was already late at night. She walked to her courtyard and sat on a stone chair. She said subconsciously, "Little snake, come and help me massage my back." There was no response for a long time. Phantom Princess said again, "Little." Her voice gradually trailed off and finally disappeared completely. Only a long sigh was left in the silent courtyard. At the same time, in Thousand Fox Nation's imperial palace, Bai Xian was pacing in his palace with a displeased expression. He snorted coldly. "I thought the Duke of Zhejiang was powerful. He's simply a piece of trash among trash.
He let them escape, a servant behind him said. I've already asked around.
If it wasn't for that damn snake, Hu Jiao and the others wouldn't have survived this time. Bai Xian said, I've long disliked that snake. It's good that he's dead. Next time, no one will ruin our plans. However, if junior sister dies like this, it'll be a pity. The heavenly fox bloodline in her body is so thick that even master can't compare to it. If I can dual cultivate with her, it'll be very beneficial for me. He tidied up his clothes and smiled. She almost died this time. As her senior brother, I should go and see her. Phantom Princess Residence. Phantom Princess sat in the courtyard and said lightly, I'm fine. Crown Prince, please go back. I need to rest. Bai Xian stood outside the courtyard and said, Junior sister, rest well. I'll go back first. He didn't even step into the courtyard. Bai Xian returned to the palace with a gloomy face. When he returned to his bedroom, he saw a black figure standing in the hall. His expression immediately became respectful. He bowed and said, Envoy, what are your orders? The black figure asked eerily. You should know where Heaven Lord of Illusion is in seclusion, right? Bai Xian's eyelids twitched. He quickly smiled and said, This seclusion is very important to him. Although he didn't tell me the exact location, there are only a few. If I search one by one, I'll find it. Chapter 456. Li Mu had just finished his undercover life in Qianhu Nation. After returning to Chengdu, he began to busy himself with official business again. The first thing he had to deal with was the Empress's backlog of memorials. If the Empress was judged by the Emperor's standards, she was definitely a fatuous ruler. Li Mu was a censor in the Imperial Secretariat, but he was ordered to be a head eunuch by her. She read books and planted flowers every day. It was too easy to be an emperor. After returning from Jiujiang County, Li Mu no longer had to worry about his identity being exposed. Shangguan Li and Mr. Mei had already found out the two palace maids who were on duty near Chang'e Palace. They had been secretly providing information for Meizong all this time. They were the ones who leaked the news of Li Mu sleeping in the palace to Meizong. His reputation with the Empress was also damaged because of this. Hu Jiao still thought that Li Mu was an LSP and had an affair with the Empress. They had maintained an improper relationship for a long time. In the Imperial Clan Temple, the internal guards and the Imperial Clan Temple were interrogating the two palace maids. These two palace maids had been in the palace for 7 or 8 years. They were selected to enter the palace during the time of the former emperor. This meant that Meizong knew everything that happened in the palace during these 7 or 8 years. They even knew which concubine the former emperor slept with, how many times he slept with her, and how long he lasted each time. In the court, Zhang Chun patted the gavel and asked, Who else do you have in Chengdu? Tell me honestly so that you don't have to suffer the pain of soul-searching. The two palace maids lowered their heads and looked indifferent. They were not afraid of Zhang Chun's threat at all. Mr. Mei sighed and said, You are also citizens of the Great Zhou. You are human women. Why do you work for the demon sect? One of the palace maids looked up and sneered. The demon sect was called by you. In our eyes, you are the demons. Mr. Mei shook his head and said to Li Mu, It seems that they have been brainwashed by Meizong. Li Mu did not agree with Mr. Mei's words. He had been undercover in Meizong for a few months and knew Meizong's methods. Meizong would not brainwash the spies because those who could be brainwashed were usually not very bright. And those who were not very bright could not be spies. Meizong would not take them seriously at all. When they chose people, the first thing they had to do was to be good-looking. Secondly, they had to be smart. Those who chose to join the Meizong sect, other than those who harbored evil intentions, no matter if they were humans or demons, they would definitely hate the imperial court from the bottom of their hearts. The two palace maids did not cooperate at all, so Zhang Chun could only forcibly search their souls. The process of soul-searching was very painful. The two palace maids were mortals who had never cultivated. After Zhang Chun finished soul-searching, they fainted. Zhang Chun had a complicated expression on his face after he was done with the soul search. He was no longer as stern and unyielding as before. Mr. Mei asked, Have you found their accomplices? Zhang Chun shook his head and said, No, they are in one-way contact. They don't know anything other than collecting information. Li Mu was familiar with Zhang Chun and knew that his expression was definitely not because he did not find any useful information. He looked at Zhang Chun and asked, Is there anything else? Zhang Chun sighed and said, It's a sin. He used his magic to share the information he found with everyone. After a while, Li Mu knew the cause and effect of the matter. These two women were both from Zhejiang County. They were originally young ladies of a big family and had lived a carefree life. Later, they were abducted by the heretic practitioners and locked in a hidden underground palace. They were subjected to sexual abuse and became the cultivation furnaces for the cultivators. They lived in darkness for several months until the people of Meizong sect found them. They killed the heretic practitioners and destroyed the underground palace. They saved the demon clans who were also being humiliated in the underground palace and saved them. After that, the two of them joined Meizong. They were good-looking and came from big families. After Meizong helped them reconstruct their bodies, they easily passed the selection of the late emperor and became palace maids. They had been hiding in the palace. The reason why they hated the imperial court was that the culprit who caused their miserable experience was the local county magistrate, an official of the imperial court. The miserable experience of those months buried an unresolvable hatred in their hearts. They naturally transferred this hatred to the Great Zhou court. In the court, Mr. Mei and Shangguan Li did not speak, but their fists were clenched. The people of the Great Zhou were destroyed by these bastards. Zhang Chun sighed and asked, How should we deal with these two? According to the law, the two of them would definitely die if they went undercover in the palace of the Great Zhou. Li Mu thought for a while and said, Let's lock them up first. If our spies are discovered, we'll exchange them. That's a good idea. Zhang Chun waved his hand and said, Take them away first. After leaving the Zongjing temple, Li Mu thought about a problem. The human race and the demon race were not two incompatible races. The reason for such a serious conflict was largely related to the imperial court's attitude toward the demon race. Many heretical cultivation were worried that the imperial court would investigate, so they did not dare to attack the people of the Great Zhou. Therefore they targeted the demons. The demon race did not have a country as powerful as the Great Zhou. The Great Zhou court also did not protect the demon race. Moreover, the demons were generally successful in cultivation and were more valuable than humans. Not only would the heretical cultivation kill the demon race without restraint, but even some righteous cultivators would kill the demon race for their souls and demon cores to cultivate in the name of killing demons and enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. If the imperial court treated the people and the demon race equally and protected the law-abiding demon race in the Great Zhou, the demons' hatred toward the Great Zhou would certainly weaken. The demons would cause less chaos everywhere, and the place would be more stable. It would also be beneficial for the unity of the people's hearts. In fact, when he was in Zhejiang County, Li Mu had already thought about this. If the Great Zhou court could do this, what reason would the Phantom Princess have to overthrow the imperial court? If they lost the righteousness, they would lose some. However, this decree was unprecedented in the history of dynasties. The resistance to its implementation would certainly be great. It was not something that could be taken for granted. He had to consider it thoroughly. In the Changle Palace, Li Mu was reading memorials while thinking about this matter. Zhou Yi leaned on the dragon throne and read. When she flipped the pages, she would sneak a glance at Li Mu. Ever since she found out that the vixen of the Thousand Fox Kingdom ordered her favorite official around like a servant, she felt unbalanced in her heart. As the Empress of the Great Zhou, she could not go to the Thousand Fox Kingdom to cause trouble for that vixen. However, what that vixen had, she had to have. What that vixen did not have, she also had to have. She admitted that she could not win against Lu. After all, she was Li Mu's wife. However, she was the empress of a country. She could not lose to a vixen. She put down the book and rubbed her shoulders. She said lightly, After sitting for so long, my shoulders are sore. Shangguan Li was about to step forward when Mr. Mei grabbed her wrist and said, Ali, come with me for a moment. I have something important to tell you. Shangguan Li was forcefully dragged out. Li Mu finished reading the last memorial. He put down his brush and sighed in his heart. Women were so pretentious. Even the Empress was no exception. She was a seventh realm cultivator. Even if she sat there for 10 days, half a month, or even 8 to 10 years, her shoulders would not ache at all, let alone sitting for less than an hour. Li Mu spent even more time reading memorials than she did. Although he was dizzy from reading them, his body did not feel tired at all. She only read books and planted flowers every day. What was so tiring about it? But then again, whether her body was tired or not was completely different from whether she felt comfortable rubbing her shoulders. who didn't want to be waited on by others. The Empress reminded him that a few days ago, he was the one waiting on others. Now, it was time for him to enjoy himself. He would go back now and let Wan and Xiaobai massage his shoulders and legs. He would experience the joy of being a fantasy princess. Thinking of this, Li Mu could not wait any longer.
He stood up and said, "I've finished reading the memorials.
Your Majesty can take a look at them. I'll go back first." With that, he turned and walked out of Changle Palace. At the entrance of Changle Palace, Mr. Mei looked at Li Mu in surprise.
He asked, "Why did you come out?"
Li Mu shrugged and said, "I've finished reading the memorials. I'm a little tired. When I go back, I'll let Xiaobai and Wan massage me."
Mr. Mei looked at him blankly. Li Mu waved at the two of them and said, "See you later."
Chapter 457. In order to avoid being criticized again, Li Mu did not stay in Changle Palace for long after he returned. This way, even if the demon sect still had spies in the palace, they would only think that the Empress thought highly of him and would often summon him to Changle Palace to discuss matters of state. They would not spread rumors that he had an affair with the Empress and was a gigolo she kept in the palace. In the Li residence, Wan and Xiaobai were in the front and back respectively. Li Mu lay comfortably on a chair, enjoying the service of their little hands. Although he was comfortable, Li Mu could not help but feel a trace of melancholy in his heart. The residence was too big and had countless rooms. There were only 3 of them, and they only slept in one room and one bed. The huge residence seemed especially cold and cheerless. In short, the residence lacked a mistress. Just as this thought arose, Li Mu's vision blurred, and a figure appeared in the courtyard. Xiaobai's eyes curved as she giggled and said, "Sister Zhou, you're here." Wan stared at a box in the Empress's hand and asked curiously, "Sister Zhou, what are you holding in your hand?" Zhou Yi handed the box to her and said, "This is a new type of pastry that the imperial chef developed. It tastes pretty good, try it." Wan did not have time to massage Li Mu's legs. She hugged the box and ran to the stone table with Xiaobai, impatiently trying out the new pastry developed by the imperial chef. Li Mu, who had not yet reacted, was still lying comfortably on the chair. Zhou Yi glanced at him and asked, "Are you waiting for me to massage your legs and shoulders?" The Empress was standing, so Li Mu did not dare to lie down. He immediately flipped over and said, "Your Majesty, please." When the Empress lay down where he had been lying, Li Mu realized that the two of them were standing in an inappropriate position. The Empress was standing, and he could not lie down. Otherwise, it would seem like he was waiting for the Empress to serve him. However, the Empress was lying down while he was standing. Some things could be seen clearly from a bird's eye view. Li Mu didn't even dare to lower his head. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Li Mu's mind. He walked behind the Empress and said, "Your Majesty, aren't your shoulders a bit sore? Why don't I give your Majesty a massage?" "Your Majesty's shoulder massaging technique is not bad," Zhou Yi said faintly. "You must have gotten familiar with that vixen when you were in Thousand Fox Country. Back in the palace, I didn't see you being so attentive to me. I didn't expect my subject to be trained by a vixen." Li Mu was startled and a thought flashed through his mind. The Empress was obviously jealous of Phantom Princess. When he was in Changle Palace, he only wanted to come back and find Wan and Xiaobai. He didn't realize that the Empress was hinting at him. This wasn't the first time Li Mu noticed that the Empress had a strong possessive desire for him. This didn't mean that the Empress had fallen in love with him. Possessiveness was human nature. She wasn't the only one who wanted to possess Li Mu. Li Mu also wanted to possess her. Not to mention anything else, if the Empress had another subject who was as good to him as she was to herself, Li Mu wouldn't feel comfortable in his heart. Li Mu secretly broke into a cold sweat for himself. Fortunately, he came to his senses early. If he persisted until night fell, he would inevitably be beaten up in his dreams. Zhou Yi looked quite domineering, but she was actually more of a woman than anyone else. She would never say what was on her mind. Instead, she would let Li Mu guess it himself. If he guessed it right, everyone would be happy. If he guessed wrong, she would vent her anger in his dreams. It must be because she didn't enjoy the same treatment as Phantom Princess. Her tone was as if she had drunk an entire jar of aged vinegar. Li Mu took the initiative to put his hands on her shoulders. He rubbed here and there, and finally calmed her down. She lay there comfortably and closed her eyes to rest. She didn't speak anymore. At a certain moment,
Li Mu said softly. There is an important matter that I would like to discuss with your majesty. Zhou Yi closed her eyes and said, Speak.
Li Mu organized his words and said, This time, when I was undercover in Qianhu country, I discovered something.
The reason why most of the demons hate the Great Zhou and hate humans is because of the unfairness between humans and demons in the Great Zhou.
When demons harm humans, they will be destroyed by the imperial court. However, humans can kill demons wantonly, take their souls, and steal their monster cores. They can even do crueler things to demons.
This is actually the root of the conflict between humans and demons. If we want to improve the relationship between humans and demons and promote the stability of the counties, we can only pass the imperial court's legislation.
Zhou Yi's eyes were still closed.
She said, Most of the courtiers and even the common people have an inexorable prejudice against demons.
Many people will oppose this matter.
Li Mu said, I think that the people of the 36 counties are the people of the Great Zhou. In the Great Zhou, the demons who abide by the laws are also the people of the Great Zhou.
Although the demons are not as numerous as the common people, they can develop intelligence or take human form.
They all have cultivation and the power they produce is far greater than that of the common people. If the demons in the Great Zhou are united, they will condense the Emperor's chi faster and your majesty will be able to escape as soon as possible.
Zhou Yi's eyes suddenly opened. She looked around and said, Since you think it's right, then do it boldly.
I will always be behind you.
Morning court. An official's spittle flew everywhere. Absurd. Simply absurd. What does the life and death of the demons have to do with the court? The court is the court of the common people, not the court of the demons. If they even have to care about the matters of the demons, then how busy will the local officials be? How many cultivators make a living by killing demons? Won't the court become the enemy of those cultivators? A different voice said, Lord Yan's words are wrong. In this way, the demons will certainly hate the court much less. It will be beneficial in easing the conflict between humans and demons. I agree. Humans and demons are all living creatures. If the demons are willing to abide by the laws, then the Great Zhou may be able to accept them. Our Great Zhou's celestial empire must have the magnanimity of a celestial empire. Another official stood up and said, Lord Yan's words make sense. The counties can't even manage their own matters. How can they have the time to care about the demons? Another person agreed. This is the biggest joke in the world. Our human court is making decisions for the demons. How will the demon kingdom view us? How will the Shen kingdom and the Yong kingdom view us? Our Great Zhou will become the joke of all the other countries. The court is protecting the demons. This is simply unprecedented. I object. I also object. Once this topic was raised, it caused a strong reaction in the court. Although a few officials agreed at the beginning, they were quickly drowned out by voices of opposition. There were even officials who stood up and questioned, just whose suggestion was it? Stand up and let everyone see.
Li Mu slowly walked out and said, It was me.
As he walked out, the voices of discussion in the court gradually quieted down. Finally they completely disappeared. You could hear a pin drop. Although Li Mu often did not attend court for several months, no one dared to look down on him. Both the old and new factions combined had been defeated by Li Mu. The students of the academy had been arrogant for a while, but now they were as obedient as sheep. Even the Zhou clan and the Xiao clan, after their successive defeats, had to avoid the sharp edge, not daring to oppose Li Mu directly. The official who had just asked Li Mu to stand up stood in a daze. He was completely stupefied. In this instant, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. It was over. He did not expect that the person he had attacked was Li Mu. After court, he would definitely suffer the revenge of this powerful official of the Great Zhou. The beautiful concubine he had just married would probably not be able to sleep for more than a few nights. The new house that he had just lived in for a year would also become someone else's after it was confiscated. He would probably have to sleep in the cemetery with excellent feng shui that he had chosen for his old father in his hometown, Nanjun. A moment later, the official wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead and said seriously, Lord Li's suggestion is truly wonderful. Not only can this move alleviate the conflict between humans and demons, it can also stabilize the various prefectures, and it can also subtly divide the demon kingdom. This official's respect for Lord Li is like a torrential river, endless and unending. It is also like an overflowing river, unable to be controlled once it starts flowing. With Lord Li in the imperial court, It is truly the blessing of the great Zhou dynasty and the common people. Another official who had objected looked at this person with disdain. He strode out and said with righteous indignation, "Demon race, so what if they are demons? Demons are also born and raised by their parents. As long as they are in the Great Zhou, they are the people of the Great Zhou. I have long disliked those cultivators with evil intentions. Uniting the demon race can strengthen the national strength of the Great Zhou. I strongly recommend that the Department of Worship recruit some demon experts. The various yamens should also eliminate discrimination and fully utilize the role of demons. Using demons to control demons can greatly reduce the pressure on the local yamens to govern the areas under their jurisdiction. The Ministry of Revenue can register these demons as demon citizens. The demon citizens are also the people of the Great Zhou and are protected by the laws of the Great Zhou. They also have to bear the responsibility of protecting the country." At some point, the officials in the court no longer objected to this matter. Instead, they began to make plans for the implementation of this matter. After brainstorming and discussing for a while, everyone unexpectedly discovered that the benefits of uniting the demon race seemed to far outweigh the disadvantages. It could even create a new structure that had never been seen since the establishment of the Great Zhou.